Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special Slice of Gaming podcast mini episode or major episode, depending on how long we go. Basically, our first week thoughts on the Switch 2. The console released last week. It is now June 12th, 2025, pretty much to the day it came out last week. And we three have all owned the console for that amount of time, and we want to talk about it. Talk about everything in relation to the hardware, the actual games, all that good stuff. I think I should actually go ahead and introduce our panel. I'm the Uncharted Wolf, and I am joined today by Bench.
Hello, I like Nintendo Switch too.
I'm also joined by Bob.
My butt sat on concrete for like 4 hours to pick this thing up.
That's not where I imagined that sentence going. I don't know where I was thinking it was going, but not that way.
A segue into the launch night experience.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, before we get into it, check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you can find us. We're going to probably be on every single podcast platform at this point. And also like the podcast and follow us on Twitter and Blue Sky at A Slice of Gaming. Let's just get right into it. Let's talk about our launch night experience. Before we even get to that, actually, pre-ordering the system, we already talked all about how the pre-ordering went. I was actually looking online. There were way more pre-order things than I actually expected. And I don't know if you guys caught it. The system has already sold 3.5 million units within its first 4 days. And it seems like there's still a lot of units in circulation within the country and also just other territories as well. It seems like Nintendo very much overstocked this thing in a good way, where it's like they wanted to make sure it was not going through scarcity hell. It was not going to deal with scalpers bullshit. And it seems like they did really good in that regard.
Yeah, if you wanted one, you could get one. Like my roommate wanted one and decided I'm going to go sit at launch night, and he got one. So
Yeah, and I know a couple people who didn't get one, wanted one this week, and one of them got the email from Nintendo to like the invite thing to order one. So one of them ordered it that way, and the other one, he couldn't walk in and get one. No one had stock at physical stores this week, but Best Buy did an online pre-order like round 2, and he was able to get one through that. So yeah, I think they are meeting demand exactly where they need to.
Let's talk about the actual launch night experience. We all got ours from Best Buy. For me, it was a thing of like I was gonna go right at midnight, but then I was like, I might as well go early just in case. I went at 10 p.m. Or no, did I go at 10 or not? No, I went at 10. Basically like an hour before. Oh no, I went at 9:30, so an hour and a half before it launched. My bad. But yeah, I went there and got a spot in line. They basically had 2 lines, which was interesting, for people with pre-orders and then people who didn't have a pre-order, basically trying to get one. Because apparently they still had a shit ton of stock, like over, I think they said over 200 were at my store, which is kind of insane. And the line was like wrapping around the actual store itself. But I went ahead, sat in the pre-order line, met some really cool people, fellow Nintendo fans, and we were just kind of gabbing and talking about video games. I brought my Switch thinking I was gonna play on it, but like I was just talking to those dudes. There was one guy who brought a speaker, like kind of like a Bluetooth speaker. It was just playing like Mario music, which was super awesome. And then it was just a pretty simple line experience. They basically said, "Hey, one person from the pre-order, one person without the pre-order, blah blah blah," and into the store. We got our coins, thank God, and then left the store. And yeah, I got my Switch 2. I got Mario Kart World, and I think I got and my Pro controller. And it was surprisingly hassle free, no craziness in sight. There was a lot of like interesting characters. I saw a cop, like an off-duty cop with Whataburger, and I was like, oh damn, I wish I got Whataburger. He was just like, oh man, it makes the night way quicker. It was just a pretty chill experience overall. How you guys launch night experience?
yeah, I mean, leading up to that day, I had a plan. I was going to sleep, and then I was going to go pick up some tacos and get in the line around 9:30 like Wolf did, and that's what I did. And it was just fun, yeah, hanging out, talking Nintendo, and then there was an ice cream shop right next to the Best Buy, so I got some ice cream, but there was like also 2 lines. So there wasn't really any trouble. Like I was very quick into the line because even getting there an hour and a half early, like the line for actual non-pre-orders was staggeringly long. Surprisingly, like, and I think everyone got one too. Like, I don't think there was someone that didn't get one in that line, even though there was probably 150 deep. And I got what I wanted. I got the Pro Controller Switch 2 camera, charging controller, like charging grip. And then I actually, last second, decided to get the Switch 1 charging grip. Because I was thinking, like, I just don't want to have my Switch 1 out, but I'm going to want to use those Joy-Cons. So I decided to get the Switch 1 charging grip as well. Just to be able to charge those without having to find a dock for the system. And that turned out to be the play. And I came home and had a fun night.
What about you, Bob? How you kind of similar experience?
Yeah, it's funny. So I was getting increasingly more anxious the closer we got to launch, and Bench will remember this because I was making fun of him for calling the Best Buys, even though apparently when you try and call your Best Buy store, it takes you
It's
no
not a
matter
Best Buy
what.
store.
Right. It takes you to their call center that is not really affiliated with Best Buy. It's like a third party call center,
Yeah.
and they don't really have helpful information. So
I
like
didn't know it's on the website.
yeah, and so it made it an increasingly like vague experience unless you went to the store, and most stores didn't really know what was going on until the week of. But for me, I was freaking out because by the week of, everyone was at least getting the message of like, oh, your Switch is like we're preparing it for pre-order pickup, and mine wasn't, and my card also wasn't getting charged, and I'm like, okay. And then I remember the email they sent out where it's like, hey, make sure your payment information's correct, and I'm like, okay, well, what if I just like update, like if I just make sure the information's good, and so I went on there and I re-entered my stuff, and then it like set a new charge, and I'm like, oh, okay, well maybe this will be the charge that goes through. But then it still wasn't like saying, it still just said pre-ordered. It wasn't giving me any information. And even the day of pickup for that midnight release, it still said pre-ordered. It did not change until an hour before
You
midnight
were
for me.
freaking out.
I was losing my mind thinking, am I not like, I'm just gonna buy one. Like at this point, like I don't know what I'm gonna do. So I was a little freaked out because of that. But I did go into the store the day before, and the guy was like, oh no, if you pre-ordered and you said it here, you should be fine. Like we haven't gotten our stock yet or whatever. And it's interesting you said 200, Wolf. My Best Buy, which is not even the major, like I'm not in a huge metro area. Like it's the biggest city in this state, but like it's not a big state. And we're not
Solid?
this isn't even like the biggest like this isn't even the biggest Best Buy in the area, or like that serves the most people. And they said they got 300 pre-orders and they had 400 ready to give out, which I was like, oh my God, these guys are stocked up. So that was insane.
That's double mine, and I'm in I'm not in Dallas, but like I'm near Dallas. So
Yeah,
that's
right.
pretty
And
insane.
like that's yeah, right. Like that was insane. So, and I
Logistic's
guess
a
it
lot
depends.
smaller than mine.
True. Yeah. I mean, there's only a couple million people.
Yeah.
Granted, Texas is like top three, but
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah, definitely. No, I
Mhm.
get what you mean. Yeah.
Uh, so I at least felt good about that. And then and then he said there was one line. So I go in the non-pre-order line thinking, oh, there's one line, and I start asking people about the pre-orders, and I guess some of them pre-ordered accessories because they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna pick this up or whatever. And I'm like, okay. And then one guy's like, oh wait, there's a different line for pre-orders. Because when I parked, it didn't seem like there were two lines either,
Oh,
which then
interesting.
reinforced that for me. And then one guy's like, "Oh no, there's a pre-order line on the other side." I'm like, "Oh, wait, well I pre-ordered." And I was
Why
the
am I
only one
here?
who walked over. Yeah, go
That's.
ahead.
But no, you were just like, why am I here?
No, yeah, I just cuz so I should also say I got there cuz I'm on mountain time, so it was 10 o'clock midnight for release for us. I got there at 7:15, so 2 hours and 45 minutes ahead. There was already 50 people in line for the non-pre-order
Man.
like switches, and then the pre-order line luckily at that point was only like Well, at the time it was like 10 people deep, but then these crafty kids, they saved their spot for like 5 other people. So then all of a sudden, like it doubled the amount of people that were in front of me. And I'm like, if I don't get this coin, because that was the other thing was the employee came out and was like showing us the coin, and we're like, so we're gonna get one, right? And by the time he got to us, he's like, I don't want to say anything, I don't know. And I'm like, that's not good. And then we're sitting there like, they better not give it to the people buying it, like straight up, because they don't deserve it. We pre-ordered, we went through the trenches, you just showed up. So that was also freaking me out. But I met some cool people in line. It was funny too because the first game of the Stanley Cup final was on, so I literally had that on my phone, and it ended like 2 minutes before midnight, and I was like, "Oh, okay, well this is perfect." But yeah, and I was talking to people, and it's always funny, like kind of talking to either Nintendo people that have no idea what's going on in the world of Xbox or PlayStation or anyone else, or like people who are a little more like they're into video games, but I don't think they listen to like gaming podcasts and stuff. So like their information is like sourced by friends or like secondhand information. So it's always funny to kind of like I don't know, talk to those people
because game coming out this year. Like they'll say stuff like that. They'll be like, "Oh, I heard there's a GTA game coming out this year or something."
Yeah, or like there was this one guy who was dead set, and we all thought Bench was crazy for the Mario thing. He's like, "No, there's going to be a 3D. I know there's going to be a 3D Mario this fall because it's going to be the 40th anniversary." And I'm like, "Okay, like sure," but
respect to you, brother.
But luckily, it opened, it went smooth. And yeah, I was like one of the last 3 people to get a coin. And that's all I cared about was being in the coin gang. So that thing is never leaving the plastic case.
Yep.
And I'm super happy I got one.
It is funny you talk about like the people, like their knowledge of games. My line, like the people I was talking to, like they knew a lot about games. One of them was straight up it was really funny because it was like, yeah, man, these leakers are so weird. Like they said there was going to be a God of War 2D Metroidvania revealed, and this was before like SGF. So I was like, this guy's going to feel so stupid when it's announced tomorrow. I was like, damn it, he was right.
That would have been so funny. It's like, yeah, that Jeff Grubb guy's a bum. Who watches that show?
Exactly. I was like, oh no, trust me, these leakers, they know what they're talking about, but apparently not.
Honestly, Wolf, I'm surprised you weren't like, yeah. So I watched this Slice of Gaming podcast, and these guys are like really good about
that. Oh, that's smart. Damn.
Well,
okay. Well, now I know for next time.
We'll pimp it out.
Yeah. Let's talk about like what when you guys got home. What was like the very first thing you did when turning on the console?
System transfer.
Okay. Well,
that's okay. Outside of that,
yeah, that's not.
Though I will say, system transfer wise, I got to shout out the music they used there. Fucking bop, man.
Oh, it was a vibe.
Fire.
It was a vibe. I was moving my hips a little bit sitting there, watching it transfer.
But yeah, I mean, I'll start. I think I remember. I was just like system transferring. My Switch 2, the system transfer was done. It wasn't recognized as my primary Switch though, so I went onto the eShop and bought like Deltarune, Civ 7, a couple other games I wanted to grab. And it was basically, whenever I loaded them up, it was like, oh, we're going to check if you have the license for these. Or it's like, oh, go get the virtual game card from your Switch, your primary Switch. I'm like, fucker, I'm the same person. So I had to turn on my other Switch and load up the virtual game cards, which is the dumbest system imaginable. And then I had to actually go into the settings to make my Switch 2 my primary Switch. But it was just like, I'm like, can I just turn off virtual game cards? I don't want to deal with this. It's annoying.
You can.
Can you? No, you can't. No.
Oh, you can't. Okay.
Like can you not like just disassociate? Oh, I guess you can't.
I think I'd have to wipe my Switch 1, which I don't want to do just in case.
Yeah.
But yeah, I what did you do first, Bup?
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is so I wasn't sure, like, because I know sometimes if you're playing a game while downloading a different one, it can like take longer, and I had the Mario Kart bundle, so my code was in the box, so I had to download it, which didn't take that long, surprisingly. Like, even though I have fast internet, it's all about like the Nintendo servers, and we should shout out the servers never buckled, like even
Yeah,
in
it
the
was actually really
slightest,
surprising.
which I was very impressed by. So I was like, okay, I'm not like I have Tears of the Kingdom, like the Switch 2 version that I could put in, but I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna do Mario Kart World. But then it was like as I was playing Mario Kart World, it's like, oh, this game downloaded. Oh, the DLC for this down. Oh, the and I'm like, oh, okay, well, this thing's like no problem. Like downloading stuff in the background, no problem, which was nice. But yeah, I pretty much I took a bunch of pictures and videos while I was setting it up, and then I sat down to play Mario Kart World, and I did not get up from my couch for 3 hours after I
Hell
beat
yeah.
every single Grand Prix at 150 and getting Rainbow Road and everything. So that's how my night went, and I got like
All
2
in
hours
one
of sleep.
sitting. Wow.
Yeah, I was really excited.
Hey, I respect it, man. I mean, we'll talk about Mario Kart World later, but it is funny. It's just like I played a couple Grand Prix, and I'm like, damn, I did not realize how tired I would be after talking, like doing all that. So I was like, I gotta go to bed.
Yeah,
What
I
Bench, you
definitely.
do anything?
Yeah, I definitely like anticipated the night, but by probably 2 a.m. I was like, if I'm truly gonna enjoy the system launch, I just gotta go to bed. Because fortunately, I had a 5-day weekend that weekend: Thursday, Friday, no work, and then Monday, no work. So I didn't need to stay up. So I just went to bed and woke up the next day and played a lot of games.
Gotta get your beauty sleep, man.
Hmm.
Let's talk. Let's talk about the actual hardware itself. How you guys feeling about like just the specs of the what we have with the Switch 2, and then we can kind of get into the nitty gritty of like screen quality, HDR, all that. But like just how is it in terms of like running your games, everything smooth? I'll admit, I just feel it just feels good to play these Nintendo games at a actual frame rate. Like a reasonable like 60 FPS for a lot of these games. There's no real stutter for most, not even most, like pretty much every game is like, yeah, this runs pretty good. Now, granted, I've mostly been playing Nintendo first party stuff. I haven't checked out like any of the big ports like Cyberpunk or even a lot of the games that I know ran really weak, really badly. But I tested out stuff like Link's Awakening and Echoes of Wisdom. It's like those are games that ran pretty badly at points, and they were a smooth 60 FPS the whole way through. When like kind of checking them out, I'm like, okay, wow, they did actually go back, and the hardware is very much boosting these games in a major way. And I think the 4K image quality is gorgeous. It's so nice to just look at these games, and it just feels good to see Nintendo games at like the highest fidelity possible. And maybe eventually this thing will be outdated, but right now it's like, okay, it's good to have something that's on par, at the very least, like comparable to the modern systems and not a Xbox 360.
Yeah, I mean, the Switch one was outdated day one. Like, I think, and this doesn't feel that way, which gives me more hope that in the future it'll at least hold up comparatively. Where like the last 3 years, no one wanted to touch the Switch outside of first party, and I think something that's also like hardware, frame rate, graphical fidelity, and all that stuff, I think is actually better than I thought it would be. Like I just have low expectations, I guess, because it's Nintendo. But I am very surprised on just what they've pulled off. Like just upresing these games, getting them stuff at 4K. It's very impressive. But I think the overall thing that shocked me is just the build quality of it. Because I think the
Yeah.
Switch always felt cheap, and the OLED definitely was a step up. But this is an even bigger step up in regards to just holding it in your hands and looking at it. It feels 10 times better. It's got a little heft to it that I actually quite like, and I think it's just an overall quality system.
Yeah. What
Yeah,
about you, Ben?
I'm definitely right there with Bench on like the hardware itself. The finish of it feels a lot more premium, and I guess you know I love the Switch one, but it did kind of feel like a toy at
Mhm.
times, and it was just very plasticky and bright. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I do kind of like the black with the you still get the color pops, right? But the black gray, metal look is really good. And they still have pops of color like intentionally placed throughout the system, which is nice. The magnets feel super strong. Like I just remember that remember that little comic of like, oh no, if you pull out the magnet wrong, the little connector's gonna break.
Oh,
Wah.
it's
Like
so
that's
funny.
not gonna happen. Like that, I don't
No.
know who like that's just I hate sometimes the lead up to stuff like this because people just fear monger the craziest things. Everything looks like it's very well built. Yeah, and it
The
feels really
magnets are
great.
strong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're great. And yeah, as far as like the internals, I will say, well, actually, no, we'll get there. As far as the internals go, yeah, the frame rate, like like Mario Kart was great, but I feel like Mario Kart, like, because I don't know, is Mario Kart World 120 or is it 60?
No, it's 60.
It's just 60.
Okay, yeah. And I don't think I would have noticed the difference if like 60 to 120 is a lot harder to tell than 30 to
Dude,
60.
like a little bit on Welcome Tour when they did the 60 to 120 thing, I was like, I can't tell.
Yeah,
Like
The thing about
I'm doomed.
you do get diminishing returns after 60,
Yeah.
but I think with Mario Kart I was like, well, I've always played Mario Kart in 60, like it looks great, right? But like it didn't really hit me.
Uh-huh.
And then I booted up Tears of the Kingdom and my jaw was on the floor for like 30 minutes straight. I'm like, I feel like I'm playing a brand new game. It looks so good. And I was playing it, on dock mode. I played a little bit of handheld and it still looks good. And I just was blown away. I played Link's Awakening, and that hits, that's now a consistent 60, and that already looked good. It somehow looks even better. Like the one credit I'll give the Pokemon is that it does, like it
It's
does run at,
consistent.
yeah, it runs at 60, and looks
It
pretty
still looks
decent.
ugly as sin, but hey,
Yep.
But yeah, as far as like the the specs of it all, I'm very happy right now with the games that received an update. I'm a little upset that some games the devs need to force an update because like I tried Pokemon Legends Arceus, that still looks bad and runs at 30. I also tried Overwatch 2 just out of morbid curiosity because I saw I like
I forgot that was
downloaded it.
ported.
Yeah, and it's free.
Yeah.
It's free to play now, right? So you can just pick it
Oh
up.
yeah.
And it's like it's 30 and it's still like it's lower than 720. I'm like, this does not feel great.
And I
Yeah.
will say,
It's
like, about the Switch 2 specifically, like, the Switch 1 was a 1080p system, but nothing ran at 1080p. I don't know if I can remember a single game at the top of my head, besides maybe 8 Deluxe, that just ran at a locked, or even, like, upscaled 1080p. Which means the jump to, like, 1440 and 4K on these games is even bigger, because a lot of those games ran between, like, 720 and 900p. So it's this even bigger jump.
Yeah, that is so true, Bench, because I hated playing docked on my Switch 1. I hated it because it just did not look good on my TV. It looks so much better on the handheld where it is, 720 and feels right. But I hate playing it docked. And now, like I like the flexibility of both because yeah, Mario Kart World looks great. Tears of the Kingdom looks great. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the specs. I'll be interested to see how third-party games, especially more modern released third-party games and not just ports of Switch 1 games, look, and it'll be an interesting thing to follow. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with what we have right now.
I haven't
the
played
big thing with
Cyberpunk, but I've seen
Cyberpunk,
a lot
from
of
what I heard, has
Cyberpunk.
been
Yeah.
a very strong port. Like it's like genuinely like on par with like the Steam Deck version. Which, by the way, I feel like I'll say this: I feel like a lot of games are going to be on par with the Steam Deck version, which I think is good, at least in my eyes.
Oh yeah,
Well, this is
if you
even better than the
comparatively look
Steam
at
Deck.
this. Yeah, so I'm always confused by the people who are like, I have a Steam Deck. It's like, guys, okay. I get from the viewpoint you're gonna be the big thing you're buying a Switch 2 for are Nintendo exclusives. But I feel like a lot of the cases is like when people argue the Steam Deck power wise, I'm like, yeah, well, this thing is overall like specs wise more powerful.
Yeah.
We've got to see how much these developers are willing to spend time on porting and getting these things running on both types of devices. But like I feel like I'm of the mind if it runs on Steam Deck, it runs on Switch 2. So like Monster Hunter Wilds, that is not coming to Switch 2. That thing is
Also-
a travesty on Steam Deck.
Yeah, in regards to like Steam Deck, it's hard to like compare the two, like not like power wise, but just consumer wise, because by the end of the week, the Switch 2 is probably going to outsell the Steam Deck. and by the end
I
of the
think it
month,
already
probably
has.
double it. Yeah, I know like the handheld gaming market, I saw a number around 6 million to all combined, and the Switch 2
Yeah, I
is going
think
to outsell that.
Steam Deck makes up like 4 million of that, I think, and then the other handhelds are about 2 combined.
Yeah,
So
and it's
like I
like
think yeah.
those handhelds are like great, like especially if you're a
Mhm.
fan of like playing games on the go. But to try to act like it's like, oh man, I saw a lot of like comparisons, like, oh, Nintendo's really gonna have to now they have competition with these handheld PCs. It's like no, because people buy these things for Mario Kart or like
I
whatever the
mean,
next 3D Mario game is.
yeah, it's a bit of both because yeah, anyone. I mean, we're coming off the heels of Summer Games Fest, and Xbox made a big deal about their new Asus Xbox Ally. That is still such a niche market that does not even come close to Nintendo or the Switch. But at the same time, it's not like Nintendo isn't paying attention to what
Oh,
the
of
Mhm.
course,
competitors are
yeah,
doing, and I think the competition's good and healthy, and I don't think there's a clear um, winner in regards to like Steam Deck. I mean, just the versatility of having like the Steam platform and everything,
yeah.
and it being open like that. Like that is still a benefit, but like there's a lot of things that the Switch 2 does great, and honestly, the Steam Deck's like 4-year-old hardware, so like it really shouldn't be like
Yeah,
the
no,
powerhouse, right? Um,
and I
but no,
think
I think it's a good thing overall. I think they both make
yeah.
each other better.
And at the end of the day, it's like in a few years, like there will be probably a Steam Deck 2 that's a lot more powerful that can probably handle more modern gen games of like the PS5 Series X caliber. And like, maybe then the Switch 2 will start to look outdated. But I think even by then, it's like a lot of developers will probably still maybe support like Steam Deck 1 at that point. And I think also at that point, developers are really going to actually take the Nintendo Switch 2 seriously. And it's like, okay, we will make a downgraded port. Especially, I saw an interview, I think it was with Koei Tecmo. I don't know if you guys caught this,
Yes.
about how they were kind of like, oh, this thing is actually way closer to a Series S, which I found really interesting.
And that's
Yeah.
kind of where the when the true specs. I mean, granted, we still don't know what the true specs are because it's custom hardware, so we will
Digital
never.
Foundry, we need you.
Well, no, I mean, even with Digital Foundry, it'll be hard, like from a true hardware comparison,
Yeah.
to get a true comparison. But yeah, I think it was always, and we even talked about it on the pod when it leaked. It was somewhere between a PS4 Pro and a Series S, and I think for some games it's going to lean closer to a Series S, and depending on what it does well, and some games it's going to be closer to a PS4 Pro. But especially with just the diminishing returns in general on new hardware in the last 10 years, it's not a problem. Like I'm not
Well,
sitting there
also
being disappointed.
diminishing
100%.
returns on visuals. Like most games aren't going to look better than Cyberpunk looks, or even downgrade that to something like a Doom Eternal. And back when the Switch originally came out, it was outdated for 2017 hardware, so it's probably
Mhm.
like a couple years behind that. And now you have something that can play Cyberpunk and all these upper echelon games. And it's not like games are going to get 10 times more complicated to play. Now they have a lot more room to port because games are going to a lot more scaled in general in terms of what they can do, especially like these engines like RE Engine and the Doom stuff. Like all those engines
Yeah.
now are pretty scalable to the point where like it was harder to work with Switch 1 hardware. Now I imagine like the Switch 2 will always have some form with third parties because it's just going to be
Especially,
easier.
especially, I want to point this out. Japanese games, they're Switch 2. Like they know that in Japan, the big market is Switch. Nintendo is massive in Japan, and a lot of these Japanese publishers and developers are going to want to actually do the port downs to the Switch 2 level because a lot of Japanese consumers don't buy PS5s. They just don't care. They don't play on PC. They'll play on their Switch. I'm very
I
curious to
think like
see. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
an example is like PS4 Pro can run God of War Ragnarok. Nothing needs to look better than that.
PS4 base can run God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah,
Like
like
that's
and
what's
nothing.
funny.
Yeah,
That's my thing is like I just feel like I'm with you, Benja. That I think that we're at a diminishing returns for graphics where right now it's like if you told me from now on, hey, the best possible looking game that will ever come out now is Horizon Forbidden West, which is a PS4 game. I'd be like totally fine with that. I'm like, okay, cool. Because that's as good as I need games to look. I don't really And GTA 6 is probably going to be the peak of graphics for like the next decade until the next Rockstar game comes out. Let Rockstar do that. That's what Rockstar does.
Yeah.
They're the ones who are out there releasing these insanely high budget games because they have the money and specs and time.
Yeah.
But I think also
99.
a lot of people are forgetting about how awesome it is that we're going to get Nintendo games that look this good.
Yeah.
Splatoon 4 or the next 3D Zelda game. Like, could you imagine what they're
Yeah.
able to do with this hardware now? It's extremely exciting.
And like bringing up Rockstar again, it's like 99.9% of games released between now and 2018 don't look as good as Red Dead Redemption 2. They just don't. And apparently that's coming to
supposed
Switch
to come.
too. So it's like
Yeah.
they're going to have so much more room and so many more things will just look better and run better on Switch 2 if they put the
And-
effort in.
One
And
thing
I'm
we
still-
didn't talk about too, real quick, is it being a faster memory. The load times on when I was bouncing between Tears of the Kingdom, like shrines in the open world, it was so fast. I know if you've load up Smash, like getting into a game takes like 2 seconds. The load times are so nice and so needed, where we just haven't had that level on the base hard drive in a while. And we talk about like the jump from PS4 to PS5 with the SSD. We're seeing that again with the Switch too.
The Smash Ultimate. Real quick, just Smash Ultimate is my favorite example because I've seen people load up 8-player Smash and like before the character select, like when you load up the characters and it's like Byleth versus this character, it just now immediately loads where you can't even read who gets it in. It's insane, and also just changing the colors for your costume is instantaneous.
And like for Smash specifically, I think that's like a game you got to put an update in to actually make those things last a tad longer because it goes by so fast. That's the point we're at.
It's exciting. Real quick, our guy came in late, but he's here now. Jat, how you doing, Jat?
Hello. Yes, it's good to be here. Yeah, apologies for the delay. As you guys know, just a lot of like good life stuff has been going on, like positive things. But it's unfortunately caused me to be on here late. But yes, it's great to be on, and I am loving the Switch too. And I agree, the loading times are making a huge difference. And yeah, like even though I haven't tested this myself, Smash Bros is like a great example where the character renders, like when you switch the colors, they weren't loading, but now they just load apparently. Like that's really sick. And I played a bit of Splatoon 3 last night. I think I told you guys about it. And Splatoon is really like, it looks visually really good on this thing. I feel like they upped the texture somehow, and like, or it could just be the 1080p scaling. And yeah, no, it's just a very smooth experience on the Switch too.
Hey, Jad, we just call that being fashionably late. No worries there. that makes you the special guest. Let's talk about the handheld mode, specifically screen size, the quality of the LCD, because this isn't an OLED, HDR, how VRR I know is on handheld. Everything in regards to that. Bob, you're my tech guy. I'm gonna need the Digital Foundry Lite breakdown. Everything you're kind of experiencing in regards to the actual screen and handheld mode experience. And specifically, I never got a SWOLED, the Switch OLED, so I'm curious if this LCD screen compares to the OLED, like how it kind of feels right now.
Yes, hello,
I mean,
it's me, Digital Boppery. As far as the screen goes, I think the size, that was the thing that I think was the most underrated thing going into this launch, was it was bigger, but I don't think anyone realized how big of a deal the screen size was. Like, I picked it up, I'm like, this thing is massive compared to the Switch One or the Switch OLED. And I think it looks super good. Going to the LCD versus OLED thing, going from the Switch 1 LCD to the Switch 2 LCD, it's like going from the Switch 1 to the OLED. Now, the real OLED freaks and the real color freaks and the real HDR freaks will say it is not as good, but for as technical as I am when it comes to like color balancing and HDR, I am not the guy for that. And to me, I think it is on par with the Switch OLED. So in that regard, I think this is an incredible LCD screen. Doesn't get as bright and as dim, but again, those are like the extremes of it. It is a very, very good screen. I think compared to the OLED, I think it's neck and neck, and it's once again a 9-day difference from the Switch one, because there are a couple people who are like, oh, I wish it was OLED. It's like, I genuinely think it won't matter. Like, sure, once we get the OLED, I'm sure we'll all upgrade to it, but I think that's fine. And then yeah, as far as the screen goes, I played Mario Kart in handheld mode, and I don't know if it really even needs to take advantage of VRR. I think that'll be more of a third party thing that can't always get a locked 60. So I didn't really get to see that in action. But the only thing that, like, and this isn't even a nitpick, it's just a personal thing. I really didn't think the handheld screen needed to be 1080 because it's still so small. It could have been 720, and that might be a thing we'll see. Like, that will be a future proofing thing, I think, by the end of the generation. If we do for some reason have a very graphically demanding game or something that wants to hit 60 frames, they might bump it down to 720, and I really don't think most people are going to notice because the screen is so small. Now, on the dock, keep it 4K, keep it 1440, at the bare minimum, keep it 1080. But on your handheld, I think you can go down, and I wouldn't be surprised too if a lot of games are using dynamic resolution and it's going down to 720 or lower, and you're just not going to notice because the screen is, compared to a TV, so small.
Yeah, and one thing about the screen, and I think people are gonna like forget about this, is the fact that it's 120 hertz, and the average consumer doesn't know what hertz means on like a Switch, right? Like, so I think that it's one of those features where it'll be cool for like a few shooter games. I think like something like Fortnite was supported, and then the new Metroid, of course. But it's a feature that a lot of games aren't just gonna have, like, or if they have, then who's really, excited to play, like, I don't know, Donkey Kong in 120 hertz? That's possible.
Yeah, I think the
120 hertz is a big
LCD
deal.
the LCD in general is just so much better. It's not even comparable to the Switch 1 LCD. But I think another hardware thing specifically is just the size of the Switch 2. Not weight, but general size. Like the thickness. Same thickness as Switch 1, I think, is big. Because like the Steam Deck is very chonky. And I honestly appreciate this thinner design, even if it's just a little more spread out.
Yes, on the fact that of like the portability, but I tell you what, I played Mario Kart World handheld for about 30 minutes and immediately went online and was like, what Switch 2 grips are available? Because this thing is cramping my hands immediately. So that is the one. But again, when you play, like, if you take the Joy-Cons off and play like a single Joy-Con on Mario Kart or Mario Party or whatever, I do like that they're flat because they're great for that. So it's a real, like, I see both sides. And like, there really isn't an option other than the grip to have it both ways. So it's like, selfishly, for strictly handheld mode, I wish it was like more like, or like the Steam Deck or like the ROG, the Xbox Ally with the more controller based set, but it still works that way, and I can just get grip and get over it, because yeah, I am glad that it is still kind of thin for portability too.
Damn, I forgot where I was gonna go. My brain just turned off for a second. I mean, let's switch over to Joy-Cons. What's it called? So now we got the Joy-Con 2s. I will start. I mean, first, we kind of alluded to this earlier, but the magnetic grip, so much fucking better than the rails. Those rails, it felt like every 5 seconds, every time I was trying to take a Joy-Con out, it would snap off. It was cheap. It felt like it was made as a Fisher Price toy. Hated it. The Joy-Con 2s, absolutely phenomenal. Like, just the magnetic, just click sound effect is so joyous. It just has this nice snap to it that I'm really into. And they are secure. They feel secure. They don't feel like they're gonna like fall off at any point. And also, it's just like the release button is way better. It's way bigger. It feels way cleaner to just take a Joy-Con out, to the point where I sometimes just feel like just taking it out just for the feeling. It just feels good to take out of the Switch. I don't know. I'm really into it. I think they really nailed it. this is an overall better build quality Joy-Con. Now we will see how drift is. We saw what happened with the Switch 1, so I'm curious. These seem to be a lot better build quality, so I doubt they'll drift, and I want to believe they won't drift, considering how Nintendo's history with Joy-Con drift. But we'll see. About, I don't know, like a year later, I think we'll start to understand if the drift is as widespread as it was with the Switch 1. But I'm pretty satisfied with the Joy-Con 2s overall, except for when holding it in handheld mode, as you mentioned earlier. But like, I do get my hands cramped at some points, which I'm like, the Joy-Cons need what we were talking about, a little bit of an ass, just somewhere where I can rest my palm.
You didn't bring up the biggest feature of the Joy-Con 2s, the mouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna save that for later. That's why.
Oh, I
Okay.
forgot that was a feature. I'm very I'm not
Yeah, I was
using it
gonna
right
say that we could talk about that in a different light.
I actually think it's a good feature.
We could talk about it in a bit, but I want to talk about the Joy-Con 2s overall.
Yeah, I just think they're better. I think even if it might be nice to have a little bit of an ass on them, I do think them just being bigger makes them way better to hold. Like the Joy-Con, and they're just more premium. Like the other Joy-Cons are flimsy, they feel cheap, like previously mentioned, and these just feel better. It's hard to describe really how, but it's just, they feel more premium.
It is a bit of a bummer that they didn't. I mean, they said they made changes to the joystick, but I don't really buy that because really it's in their best interest not to. That being said, I haven't really seen what the teardown is. I'd imagine it'd be pretty. It's very easy to change your Joy-Con or the Switch 1 Joy-Con sticks. So if push comes to shove, like I don't mind changing those. But yeah, I do like that they're a little bit longer, and yeah, they just like we've been saying, they're just super premium, and I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, no,
The buttons
same.
being bigger is huge.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I do like just how they feel like and how they look. They look very sleek. But here's the question I'm thinking about. So you know how like all the Switch Joy-Cons, they were all like a solid color, like neon red, neon blue, gray, green, pink, etc. But then on the Switch 2, it's like blue and red on the joysticks insides. Do you guys think that for like future Joy-Cons, they're gonna make like are they gonna make like the solid colors again, or do like what they did with these ones where it's like gonna be on the inside?
I'd
They
have to
will.
imagine they do both.
It's
I
such a
think
big
they'll-
moneymaker.
Yeah, it's just they'd have no reason not to. It's pretty much free money to create new Joy-Cons. Like, hey, here's neon Joy-Cons. Especially when they're $95, I feel like it'd be insane not to sell extra Joy-Cons.
I think
like
so. The one thing though with that is, and I still don't know what they're gonna do, is when you take out the Joy-Cons, it's red and blue on the inside of the screen where you connect them. So if you have a green and yellow one, I understand it's very obvious which is the left and which is the right one. But like, part of me is like, do they keep it like red and blue on the rail part so that you at least know, like, I don't know if the dumbest person on the planet knows which way to put them in? Because that is the one thing that you couldn't do with the rails. You can put a Joy-Con in backwards, upside down, because it's just a magnet and it's a universal pin. And I know this is the grandma who doesn't know which Switch she's buying at Target talk.
Pop, you say this. Blessing from Kind of Funny Games Daily put them on backwards.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's very. I think you're kind of onto something.
I'm just curious though, like, because I would love if they just kept doing and granted, this is kind of stupid because it's like, yeah, you're paying $95 for this, but if they kept like the gunmetal gray or black, and then it is just the thumbstick colors, I would imagine they're going to do full colors, but I do wonder, like, are they going to paint part of it red and blue to signify, okay, this is the left one and this is the right one? Because that would be kind of interesting.
My original concern through that initial reveal is that you can kind of see hints of color through like the Joy-Con magnet, but now having the system in my hands, I realize that's just from the actual Joy-Con, not the interior colors.
Right. Yeah, and like they're gonna do a Pokemon edition, a Zelda edition,
Animal
a Mario
Crossing
edition. Yeah, they're gonna get crazy with it, I'm sure.
Yeah, I kind of brought that up as a future topic of like future hardware. Well, actually, no, that wouldn't be that. We'll talk about that later then, actually. But yeah, no, they're gonna obviously sell a lot of different types of Joy-Cons and maybe even switch to consoles with Joy-Cons included, stuff like that. It just makes way too much sense. Let us talk about the Pro controller. I got one, and I think I think you're the only one that didn't get one out of us, right?
I have the Switch 1 Pro controller, but no, not the Switch
It's like,
2.
hey, I'm part of the game, boys. Check out our Pro controller.
No C button, but hey, who needs that?
They took one of my favorite controllers, which was the Switch 1 Pro controller, and just improved upon it even more. I absolutely am in love with this thing. It feels immaculate. The back buttons are actually phenomenal. I didn't think I would be a back button purist until they actually released like a quote unquote standard controller. You know, it's a Pro controller, but you get what I mean. With back buttons, and it's like, hey, I use it as like kind of my like somersault button in Mario Odyssey, or not my crouch button in Mario Odyssey, where you could do like long jumps and whatnot. And it's really good as like the sprinting button in like Breath of the Wild, and it's just like, wait, this thing is actually phenomenal. Like, I love using this thing in general. The build quality is immaculate. It feels so good on the hands. It does not feel rough, or it does not feel thick. It's kind of weird. I was feeling the Switch 1 Pro controller afterwards. I'm like, and as much as I love that controller, I'm like, I don't even want to touch this thing anymore after touching the Switch 2 Pro controller. I will say the one thing is the fact that it's not analog, but I think that only really I'm of the mind where it's like I kind of just want an option for analog, because I actually really like playing games like Mario Odyssey with the non-analog triggers, because it's way easier to do jumps and way faster. But something like a racing game, I understand, would be a lot better with analog triggers. So almost an option would be kind of like the best case scenario in my opinion. But yeah, this is a phenomenal controller.
Yeah, I've long thought that the original Switch Pro controller was just the best controller ever made, just from how it feels in the hands, the sleekness of it, on top of just the massive amounts of battery life. I just think there was honestly no real flaws with the original, but they just improved everything with the Switch 2 Pro controller, like you said. Some of the things that weren't mentioned were like the audio jack. I do think is a nice touch, having that as an option. Now, I guess because of microphone, but the original didn't have it, and there are definitely some times, especially before Bluetooth was on Switch 1, that you'd kind of want that audio jack. So it's nice to have that as an option. And it just feels better. Like, everything about the Switch 2 makes it feel premium, which just makes it nicer to play and hold, because you're not playing with a toy.
Okay, so now this is the part where I gotta be the most negative out of the group. I'm not even
not an elite controller, you know. I get it.
well. So it's weird because I'm not even really negative as much as I'm just like, this feels and this isn't, I guess, inherently a bad thing, but I'm like, I cannot tell the difference between playing on this and playing on the Switch 1 Pro controller. And granted, and I'm not as high on the Switch Pro controller as you guys are, but I still think it's like a top 5, top 3 like first party controller. It is really well made. But I just feel like it like, whereas we talked about the Joy-Cons being a night and day difference, I picked this thing up and I'm like, okay, it feels like I paid $95 or however much for a C button and some back paddles, which I don't necessarily hate because, yeah, Wolf, talking about the back buttons, I booted up Tears of the Kingdom and I'm like, oh, right, they bind jump to the Y button or the X button. Like, who on God's green earth decided that was a good idea? So, and I know you can technically change that, but I was like, no, I'll just put it on the back button. That way it'll be a lot more easier. And pro tip, definitely bind if you're using the click of the sticks a lot, bind that to the back buttons, because not clicking the sticks helps with drift. So the more you don't click in your sticks, that's just one thing that can help with that. So a little pro tip there. But yeah,
Switch Pro tip?
Switch pro tip. I do like that you can now hold the home button while it's docked and it turns the console on. That is a nice touch. But yeah, I don't think so.
Oh, is it not?
Or maybe you can. But
maybe
I don't think the Switch 1 does it with the Switch 2.
That's yeah.
I think that's where the issue is.
Yeah.
But and like so in going to you talk about the digital analog triggers, that's always been my biggest complaint, because I am a racing game guy, and it never really dawned on me that, oh yeah, Mario Kart, you don't use the triggers. And I always wonder if that's why, but like Double Dash was the same way where you didn't use the trigger. So it's like, yeah, okay, I don't know. But
Well, that's more
regardless,
like party racing with Mario Kart, and
Sure.
I think it's like with what you're talking about, like a Forza or even an F-Zero, is like more
Right.
like serious.
and with so with the controller too, I mean, you brought up the Elite, but like that is the one thing I would love to see from Nintendo is that the Wolverine Elite controller, so it has analog triggers, but then the trigger stops where you shorten it. If you shorten it to the shortest one, it's actually a click just like the Pro controller. So there are people who are making you have it both ways, and it's like, okay, I know that's a lot of technology for Nintendo, but like that would be the best of both worlds, giving you like a GameCube analog where you can put on the trigger stop, just flip his little switch. It's nothing crazy. It's not, you don't have to go into the software, and then it just like turns it into a click. That way you can have both. But overall, like I would just say, like I'm very lukewarm on it. But I think that's also because it's already a great controller. I'm just not noticing, compared to everything else, I'm not noticing this night and day difference.
Yeah, that's all fair, I guess. I will say, the GameCube controller on NSO, what was it? The Nintendo Store GameCube controller with the like C button and whatnot. I was really tempted to get that because also I was kind of curious. It's like, what software could that be compatible with, like outside of just like the GameCube NSO and like the ports? And it's like, I wonder if you could play like racing games with that. But I don't
I
know
should
because
try
like
that.
that would. Yeah, you should check that because I think you got one, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, it might be worth checking out. See if
You know,
GameCube because I
hold
think
on a
it acts
second.
as a pro controller.
I just thought of the perfect game that they could port over to the Switch that would take advantage of the GameCube controller.
Okay.
Let's get Returnal on there, baby. That's the perfect
Oh,
game for that.
hey man, maybe in 2088. Oh man, that'd be cool though. I love Returnal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, though, I think hardware wise, anything else you guys want to talk about hardware, or do we ready to move into the console features?
I just think it's better. Just all around premium, feels good. I think it just feels like it's going to last a while all around.
We didn't talk about the kickstand, but that I do like the
The
kickstand.
original Switch.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah. Even better than
Even
the OLED in my opinion.
yeah, originally when I saw the new kickstand, like why do you need to just the OLED was great, why fix that? And then I first got to use the curved part of the Switch 2 thing last night. I had to wait in my car for a little bit, and I brought the Switch 2 knowing that. And I actually put it on my car wheel, and it like kind of like grabbed into a part of the car wheel with the curve where it just stood on top of the wheel. If you like shake the wheel, it's going to fall off, but to the point where it held up for a solid like 30 minutes on there, and I just have the Joy-Cons and I'm playing Mario Kart.
Play Mario
That's
Kart
such
while
a
driving. Let's
funny
test it out.
example, but you are right. Like that is like a great use case for the hollowness of the kickstand.
I did
Did any of
notice
you
with the
get
kickstand.
Did you guys, any of you get the new memory card? I figured there's a lot of internal storage. I'm
Yep.
not even close to filling it up, but
I got
I just avoided it.
the day it was announced I ordered a 512, and I've been using that.
Oh,
dang.
okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's a lot of storage.
What's it called? I with the kickstand. I did notice when I was first using it, it kind of got like stuck into the console, and I kind of had to like force it a little. Not force. That's a bit aggressive, but like it was like a bit more effort than I expected. But then after a while, it just kind of got used to it. And I think it's one of those things where you just got to get the joints loose of the console. But there's just like a little thing. And also one thing we didn't bring up was the dock itself. Not much to add, but like overall, a lot better than Switch 1 dock, just build quality. I like the curve. I think the curve is really nice. I hated the Switch 1 dock. Just looking at it pissed me off. So I'm glad, like, okay, they kind of made it look a little better. Though I will say the backplate part is always
it's so
annoying.
dumb.
It's so annoying because I'm like, I get you want to organize the wires, but it feels like I have to put way more effort than I need to in terms of like taking this thing off.
And
And
they
it's just
fixed
kinda
it
cheap.
with they fixed it with the OLED because instead of it being on like a hinge, you could just like pop it on and off. And it's like they kind of went backwards because I feel like this one's harder to put on and off because there's like the clips are in a weird spot and like I missed a
Yeah.
couple times. I
was like,
understand.
Is this really the back? Like I was worried I was about to rip open the console.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I don't know why they can just never get that right. And it's kind of interesting how hot it gets now in docked mode, but like it makes
I
sense.
noticed
They're putting out a lot more power.
Yeah, I mean, and the fan seems to be doing a lot of heavy lifting, but I was surprised, like touching it afterwards. I'm like, oh wow, that thing is heated up.
Yeah, because
But
like stats wise, the Switch One dock I want to say is either at 35 or 40 watts, and the Switch 2 dock is at 60 or 65 watts. So it's almost double the wattage, which is why you can't just like take out your Switch 1 dock and put in the Switch 2. No, you need to make sure you're taking out that power adapter at the least.
Yeah. Moving into the actual console itself, we all talked about system transfer. It was pretty effortless, except my virtual game cards, which was annoying. The UI did not change at all. It changed, but very slightly. I'm a little disappointed. Bob, I know you and me have had a disagreement about like UIs between generations, but I would like something different when going into the new gen. And I know you're of the mind of like, oh, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Thing is, I don't necessarily think the Switch 1 UI was so perfect that it's like, no, don't change it. So I'm like, I would have liked like a little more organization, or at least some customizability, especially theme wise. I pray to God that we get themes post launch. I said that about Switch 1 though, and I went 8 years without it. I think just UI wise, I'm a little disappointed on that front, but I will say the new sound effects, beautiful. I love the Switch eShop new sound effect. It's so clean.
And I will say specifically about the UI, while I don't think it's the best UI out there, I like the PlayStation UI a lot. I don't know what it's about, but it being 4K1 makes the video game art and presentation of the UI just cleaner. It's so much better. On top of, I don't know, the rounded edges on the game icons, I really, really like. I think it adds, in the color around it, just adds enough personality for one, it to feel different, and just for it to feel better than the sterile, just squares.
Yeah, so that was a big thing with Switch 1 is I would see some of the game icons. I'm like, is my TV settings correct? It's like, oh no, it just looks like that. So it's nice to see a Switch 2. It's like, okay, just the 4K assets look a lot better.
And
Yeah,
we're gonna save the
menu
eShop
looks
talk
nice.
for later.
What's up?
Are we going through the eShop now as well?
No. Let
Okay.
Bob get his bars off real quick.
Yeah, well, it's a fair complaint to want a new UI. I just am in the mindset of like, if it's not broke, don't fix it, except just make what you have better. And I think that's exactly what they did. So I'm like really happy with how snappy it is. All the little sound effects are really cute. They added a couple things to the bottom row that I think are all nice and needed. So yeah, but I'm with you. We cannot go 2 generations with just a black and white theme. There's no way. I refuse to believe that that's the case. And now that because the UI wasn't snappy on the Switch 1, it was almost immediately like kind of a pain. I'm hoping that they were scared to add themes because that would make it only slower. So now that we do have a snappy UI, and like home screen, maybe they feel a little more courage to be like, okay, here's a Mario theme or whatever.
I've been wanting things for. Oh, sorry, yeah.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so I've been wanting things for a while. I'm one of the weirdos that actually spend money on 3DS themes. There was an Ace Attorney one where everybody was pixelated. It was really sick, and I want something like that back on the Switch too, because like the UI, it's functional, it's fine, but it's boring. Like that's the problem, is that it's too boring, it's too basic, and yeah, we still only have light mode, dark mode, and something else.
Yeah, Jai, I'm right there with you. I would spend the money on those themes. I mean, 3DS, like those themes are so cool. I had a really cool Fire Emblem Awakening one with the music, and that's the big thing. It's like just at least like play music in the home screen or during the eShop. It just feels a little sterile, and I'm kind of frustrated. It's like, damn, I really gonna go 2 generations with like kind of a where like PlayStation has music in the home screen, but Nintendo doesn't? When like everyone knew the Nintendo Wii music, like everyone knows the Wii like shop theme, all those soundtracks like by heart. And it's just weird that Nintendo now is like, no music, no like themes or customizability. It's very weird from them. But the eShop, Bench, you mentioned this earlier, absolute upgrade. I mean, if you guys remember the Switch One eShop, that thing, like after day 2, started running like garbage. It felt like every game that got added, it started getting slower and slower. And I know this because I was using this for a little bit, like a week ago, and I'm like, what is this eShop experience? This is the worst thing I'm trying to buy stuff and it won't let me because it's so slow. I will say there's still no cart feature, which is psychotic in 2025. But at the very least, everything is way snappier and quicker, so it's not nearly as frustrating to have to, okay, I'll buy them individually instead.
Yeah, it's just better and organized better as well. Even like the best sellers and stuff, just everything is organized better on top of like if you hover over a game, it'll play its trailer and not just like 240p either. It'll be it playing the trailer with the music running so you can get a little I like everything about it.
If Bop and Jet don't have any thoughts, then I guess
It's
we can move
snappy.
in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Snappy.
There's not much to add. It's just like it's nice how much better it is over.
Actually, I do have one just question. Did they have the like recommended for you tab on
Yeah, I was about to ask
Switch
about
One?
that. I don't know how I feel
No.
about that. It
I
is
don't
a
like
very
it.
funny. It's one of those things I feel like it's helpful for like maybe families and like other people, but it's really funny what it was recommending me. So I'm like, okay, I either own this game or it'll be like, I think you'd like Stardew Valley. It's like, nope, I have zero interest. Guy, just not my thing.
Well, that's funny with me is they actually clocked me immediately. They're like, "Oh, would you like to buy Super Mario RPG?" I was like, "Oh, okay." Was it that obvious? And like, "Oh, you don't want that? How about Triangle Strategy?" I'm like, "Oh my," because I technically didn't own these games on the Switch one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how did they know this? They actually clocked me immediately. But I just don't like the slideshow presentation. Like, give me a list and
Yeah.
I can go through it. But like, I don't need this like I have to click through
Curate
to get
it every
yeah,
week.
it's literally like a slideshow presentation that takes like 30 seconds in between transitions. Like just let me look at them all and I'll go through them
My
if I
my
want to.
my favorite thing was when it was like, you liked Super Mario 3D All Stars, so we think you'll like Super Mario Odyssey. It's like, you think I bought 3D All Stars but not Odyssey? Like, that's just like, of course I would buy both. Come
But you can buy
on.
it again.
Oh, yeah, honestly, I would buy it again. Um, let's talk about let's talk about game chat. Something that took up like 6 minutes in the direct, and everyone just said, "I'm just going to use Discord instead." We tested this out with Mario Kart World, me, Bench, and Bob. I'm gonna say it. It's pretty bad. It's not as it's. I will give it this. It's snappy, but at least from like, I don't know what was going on, but the fact is, I put my headset in and it was not recognizing the microphone on my headset. So I don't know what's going on there. Maybe it's a me thing, but the fact that like I couldn't really I was like, okay, let me change my microphone, and it had one microphone setting, which was the Pro controller or the console itself. I have a headset with a microphone. Let me utilize that. And also, Bench was only coming through my left ear, but Bop was going through both of my ears. So I got like 4K Ultra HD for Bop, and then Bench was only talking in one ear. And apparently on y'all's end, I was only.
Yep.
And also, apparently, it's like no matter what microphone I used, I sound if I was using the Pro controller or the Switch 2 itself. Travesty. I don't know what's going on with this thing. I could at least give it like it's snappy, but I don't know if it was worth a button on the controller.
I'll give a compliment to this. The quality of the system mic and the range it has in canceling out other sounds is surprising. Like I'm not saying it's the quality of the mics that we're using right now, but even if I'm sitting in like handheld mode or playing with y'all, it's enough to where it's not extremely annoying.
The one thing I can give it is at least on my end, when I was listening to y'all, the noise cancellation seemed to be doing its work, but I don't know, maybe it was like a thing on if y'all's TV were muted or something.
So yeah, it's a hard thing to describe because yes, compared to Xbox and PlayStation, who have, let's not forget, have had this for almost 15 years now.
Yeah.
It is not new
It's
technology,
comical.
guys. But even compared to them, it's a little bit lacking. And especially compared to Discord, which ironically now, I mean, Jat's on Discord on his Xbox right now. Like
Yeah.
Discord has become so
He's getting-
synonymous with this kind of technology. Granted, I don't want Discord to come to the Switch because it's a whole thing with like CPU and GPU usage. I just don't like.
Yeah, fair.
Keep it separate. But anyway, um, it is, in compared to everything else, not that great. For Nintendo, the company that tried to tell you, hey, plug in your phone into the Switch
Psychopaths.
controller and the headset adapter thingy to talk to someone in Splatoon 2, yeah, okay.
You couldn't even plug it into the controller. There
Yeah,
was no audio jack.
go kick rocks. Okay, so in that regard, yes, it is a big step up. And to Ben's credit, yeah, the mic that comes on the Switch is very good. I wish I had a little bit better echo cancellation because
noticed that
when we
too.
were playing, Bench was a little far away, and it was still good, but I could tell like the echo was very noticeable, and I wish it could do a little bit better than that. But again, to its credit, when you are farther away, there is a better chance that the microphone's going to pick up the game you're playing, because if he's not wearing a headset and he's talking through the Switch, that means that the audio is coming through his TV speakers, and because it's far away, it's probably kind of loud. I never heard from either of you gameplay, not once, and I think that's actually very, very good. That because I think they run because it's using NVIDIA broadcast software, and essentially the Switch gives the audio to the NVIDIA broadcast system so then it knows to mute that audio when projecting like the microphone, and it works perfectly. So I think in that regard, it's good. It is dumb too because me and Bench had a voice chat before you got on, Wolf, and then when you got on, we had to create a new one to invite you, and you couldn't just switch. You had to leave the first one, invite you to the second one, and then Bench invited me. I couldn't just switch. I had to manually leave and manually join. So it's like stuff like that. It's like, oh my God, guys, come on. Like, get it. It's a little clunky in that regard. And I don't like. I mean, I guess if you don't have a camera on, you can totally remove the voice chat screen and just have the gameplay.
Yeah.
But if you have a camera on, and I did buy, I guess we can talk about it. I mean, we can talk about the accessories, but like it is mostly for voice chat right now. So I did buy a camera off of Amazon for like $15 because there was no way I was spending $60 on like a cheap Nintendo camera. Hey, shout outs to the people
Hey,
who
shout out to Bench, man. We got to give
I
him a round of applause.
just couldn't do it. But it like so if you have a camera in a voice chat, it has to stay on, which I get it. It's like, why turn your camera on if you're just gonna not look at people? But it's, and like the green screen technology works. It's okay. It's not anything groundbreaking or anything that you haven't seen on a Zoom call before.
Oh yeah, some backgrounds.
Yeah, but it's not, it's not bad. So like overall, it's like, yes, for Nintendo, this is a step up. And to its credit, like I really like talking to you guys while playing Mario Kart and not having to be on Discord. Like it was so nice and like playing Mario Party is going to be fun that way.
I wish it launched with Mario Party Jamboree, like the TV mode, because I feel like that would have been a better advertisement for the camera and like whatever other features they include.
Yeah, I'm with you, but so I'm okay with it. It could be better, but like for Nintendo, I think this was a big step up, and I do have to give them credit.
And I think the big thing that we're not like the target market for is specifically, this is amazing for kids. I think this is just a better overall experience for kids to avoid having to go on Discord. And instead, like, it's like, hey, I want to game chat with my cousin who's like lives in another state, and they're able to do that through Nintendo device. And I think that's really awesome. And I think a lot of kids are gonna get a lot of use out of this. And at the end of the day, Nintendo, we talk about all their
we're 20, 30-year-old somethings that play Nintendo games, but at the end of the day, it's like they very primarily market towards kids for a reason, you know. And at the end of the day, their games are for everyone, but like they clearly market towards the kids, and that's fine.
And to that point, Wolf, I was actually very impressed because this isn't for me, but if I were to have kids, I like this feature where you can go in and be like, so first off, you can't just voice chat random people. They have to be your friend, which is good.
Yeah.
For that specific reason. And even if they are your friend, you can go in and be like, no, I don't want to voice chat this person, so they can't send you invites. You can't send them invites.
I don't trust
So
this guy.
You're right, yeah. So
Jack.
exactly. So it's like that is actually really good safeguarding features, and I'm glad Nintendo had the foresight for that.
Yeah. Accessories. I mean, you guys want to have any additional thoughts on like stuff like the camera? We'll talk about the actual like use case of them. But did you guys buy anything else?
Yeah, I bought the camera. I haven't used it yet.
The case that like the Nintendo official Switch 2 case is butt. I'm actually really upset I bought it. I still have the screen protector. So the thing with screen protectors is that a lot of the time, especially if it's like an anti-glare one, it actually messes with the coloring of the system and the color balance. So I'm waiting for more reviews or like opinions or like tests on like which screen protectors like the best for it. So I'm holding off a little bit on that, but I do probably want to get one. And then I talked about the grip earlier. So I bought the Satisfy grip. Was it SAT? It gets spelled weird. Instead of like SFY, it's like SFYE or something like that. Whatever. I bought that one. It's pre-ordered, and that one comes with a case that looks a lot better. I've heard good things about the Tom Talk cases. And then because the Satisfy grip is still in like a pre-order phase, I couldn't wait, and I bought was it the Neocon? It's like the Skull and Co. Grips. And that's coming in like 6 to 12 days. And it's like, I really want to play this thing handheld. I just can't do it with my hands. So I don't care if I have to buy 2 grips to do it. Like, so be it.
I mean, I bought the D brand Prism 2.0 screen protector, and I put that on today. Very easy to put on. They have like a whole idiot proof thing. And it's, as far as I know, not messing up the colors, and apparently it's very sturdy. So I have no complaints on that so far, and I'd recommend it.
Let's go into games. Launch lineup. We have effectively. What are you guys' thoughts on the actual overall launch lineup? I have a list here. It's stuff. Mario Kart World, the Switch 2 editions of Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, the GameCube NSO, Welcome Tour, Deltarune, Split Fiction, Cyberpunk, Street Fighter 6, Kunitsugami, Civ 7, Hogwarts Legacy, Bravely Default, Yakuza 0 Director's Cut, Fortnite, Fast Fusion, Hitman, Nobunaga's Ambition, Survival Kids, Rune Factory, Arcade Archives, and Ridge Racer, and then Puyo Puyo Tetris 2S. Now, all things considered...
did you say Deltarune? Deltarune as well?
Yeah, I said that earlier.
Oh, yeah.
What's it called? All things considered, you look at it quantity-wise, I would not say the strongest launch lineup in the slightest. It seems like this had a very limited Switch 2 dev kit rollout from Nintendo. But I am of the mind that I think all Nintendo really needed for this thing to sell was Mario Kart World. Now, would I have preferred a different game? Yes, I would have preferred if in a universe, and I was predicting this for a while, I was surprised I was wrong, was it launches with Mario Kart and also Metroid. I think that just would have kind of been the perfect scenario where it's like, hey, here's your big meaty single player game, and here's your big multiplayer racing game to play with friends and family. Because Mario Kart, we'll talk about it in a bit, but like it as like deep open world wise as I was expecting, at least in the single player was. But in the case of like, if I had something like Metroid, I would be a lot more positive. But also, I look at it sales wise, and like just like from the business angle, it's like this is the best possible launch game they could have had. So I think I get, at least from the standpoint of, we needed a game to launch with the system with. Mario Kart makes the most possible sense for this thing to sell. I just would have personally liked something a bit meaty alongside it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Like, okay, so here's how I feel about it. when the Switch was shown, everyone was excited for like obviously Zelda, and then also third-party games like Skyrim, where you're like, yeah, I'm gonna play this on the go. I'm gonna play this on a flight, like that one guy in the trailer.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's excited to play Cyberpunk on the go. I'm gonna be real.
Yeah,
It's
no,
just-
that's fair. I think that the excitement of taking big console games on the go isn't nearly as strong as it was back in.
yeah,
I think for me, my biggest gripe with the launch is that because we haven't really talked about it yet, they did not. There needed to be at least one game that really utilized the mouse. Because at this point,
Yeah.
we don't really know how
I forgot to
good or
bring it up.
bad that feature is, and it's genuinely the only brand new thing about the hardware to that extent. Like that's adding a new level of gameplay. So it really, like, I don't know how they don't have a Civ or like
Oh no,
add
Civ.
Mario
I
Maker.
said Civ.
Yeah, but it's not
Civ
out.
is launched. No, I got it. I was
Civ's
playing
out.
it. I was about to.
Oh,
talk
it is
about
out. Okay, well,
Yeah, it was a launch game. But I
The
get what
one
you mean.
game.
It's like maybe something Nintendo first party. Like I think like Mario Paint was like the thing we were expecting.
right, or a Mario Maker. Like I heard nothing. Like I heard nothing about the mouse functionality, even though like they talked about it on Metroid and stuff. And it's like they really, and I get it. That's not really a system seller and stuff, but like it is a new feature, and it feels like you're not really like literally. I showed it off by like clicking around the home menu, and everyone's like, "Cool," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I don't really have like anything to show you how cool this is. Sorry."
Yeah, to me that mouse is very much an additive rather than like a big feature. If anything, it's just like, hey, if you want to play games like a PC, like an RTS, like I think RTS games is going to be like, oh, I'm going to play them Switch too, along with like 4X games like Civ. And I played Civ 7 through the mouse, and overall, like it's very good. Like I do, like this is. I never liked playing Civ on console because it's like using a controller for Civ is sacrilege, and now I can actually play it with the mouse. It's like, no, this is great. My only thing with the mouse, and I don't know whether it's my setup or like how like the tables I've been using or something. I feel like sometimes it like twitches and like kind of flicks a little randomly, but also I have very twitchy hands, so maybe it's just my own like hands that do that. I don't know what's up with that. But overall, I mean, like it is a very strong feature for the console, and I do like it a lot. It's just I agree with you that it could have used like something like Nintendo first party, like a Mario Maker 2 update would have been perfect at launch for this thing.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
something like Metroid is really going to show because you really can just
Oh,
flip your Joy-Con and it immediately like that's going to be a game changer, just being able to flip it and all that. I do like the mouse functionality, especially using it in like Welcome Tour for some things, while not anything gameplay deep. It definitely shows there's some utilization there, and something like I'm shocked Baldur's Gate 3 hasn't been announced for Switch yet because it can run on a Switch.
Yeah,
Definitely on top of like that mouse control is going to be a game changer on there.
yeah. Baldur's Gate
I'm-
3 feels like it's showing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it took a while for them to even get it on Series S, and we know it's not as strong as a Series.
mostly 'cause
I
of
would
the
hope
co-op.
I would hope they can get there. I'm just not expecting it anytime soon.
I know
I-
they put Divinity on there. They were there close with Divinity too, so I imagine they'll show up.
Yeah, it's not in
Yeah,
the
no,
sense,
it's
I
not a
think
sense
also
of
that-
like they don't want to support it. I just don't like it. Did take them a while to optimize for the Series S, so they'll
Does it-
need another round of
I
optimization.
think
Yeah, does it run on Steam Deck?
yeah,
Not
yeah.
very well.
Yeah, like 20 frames. I heard 25, something like that.
And
I-
it's really Act 3 where it like even on the consoles it's bad.
Yeah, the actor
Oh,
was rough on
Oh
console.
yeah, I wouldn't know.
Yeah, Jat, Mister, I got the bad ending on purpose. Whatever. My thing is, I think Larian is the type of studio that's gonna really work to try to get it to work, no matter what.
Oh, they
And,
will.
yeah, they're very
yeah.
like they've figured out Baldur's Gate 3 in a way that I think they could better optimize it through any piece of hardware now. Like they understand that game way better.
All right. Well, yeah, and then that like I do think it will come. But to go back to just to wrap up like my thoughts, I do think that like Mario Kart, like again, there wasn't really like a thing with the mouse from Nintendo at launch, and then I love Mario Kart. I don't think it's a good launch game. I understand
Oh, sure.
it's a game that a lot of people will play. I've already put 25 hours into it after a week. I don't want to sit here and say it's a bad game, but I'm also a racing game guy. And it's like I do kind of wish that and I understand why Donkey Kong Bonanza, they don't want to cannibalize sales, but it's like, I don't know. I feel like Wolf, you said it. You went on the eShop and bought like 7 different things. I went on the eShop and bought like 3 different
Yeah,
things. Like,
at launch, people are in their acquisition phase. They're gonna buy a bunch of shit.
yeah, so it's like we all have Bonanza pre-ordered, so I don't understand the cannibalization like argument to a degree because it's like you're already paying, like everyone's already putting down a lot of money for this. They're gonna go that extra step, be like, well, it's already $500. Let's throw another $70 on there, whatever. And I understand not everyone's in that position, but I just don't necessarily buy the cannibalization argument to that degree.
That's fair.
And I just wish I do wish there was another game to really show off the Switch because as much as I love Mario Kart, I don't think it's a good launch game specifically.
At the end of the day, nothing's gonna beat Breath of the Wild for the Switch one. Like that was just like
Right.
an
Yeah.
immaculate choice for the first
Uh,
game to come out with that console.
That and
Or-
I'd say Mario 64. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's-
Those
yeah.
two are both excellent examples.
Let's actually talk about Mario Kart World now extensively. I've played probably the least out of you guys, maybe less. Yeah, less than Jack. I did all the Grand Prix. I did.
Oh, that's more than me.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm better than Jat then, apparently. Yeah, all the Grand Prix. I messed around in the open world, and I think this is a great game. I think this is a very solid Mario Kart. I don't know if I'd say it's the best one. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe still very much is a powerhouse in that franchise. But also, I'm not a Mario Kart guy. I think to me, it's like a B tier in the Nintendo pantheon. I really like Mario Kart. It's a fun time, and I really like playing with friends. But it's not the thing I pick up a controller to play. And I'm not a racing game that way. So I'll admit, Bob, a lot of times I'm like in the open world, I'm thinking, man, I wish I could get out of the cart.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just in general, like,
You're hoping you get out of the car to place like Odyssey.
yeah, that's what I'm saying, though. I mean, come on, that's a game of the generation right there. I mean, okay, but in general, though, like, seriousness, this is a very, very good Mario Kart. I really additions they did. I think the track design is sick. I just visually gorgeous. I mean, this is like, I don't even want to think about what this game would have looked on Switch 1. They nailed it with that 4K 60. It's just a stunner to look at. And I'm a big fan of like kind of the racing mechanics. It's, been honed to a perfection at this point. Wall riding and grinding, sick. But man, that open world is extremely disappointing. I think a lot of us were going into this with the idea that this would be Forza Horizon Mario Kart, and it's just not that. It feels like an afterthought.
That? Like those people are crazy.
Yeah, Bob was a big one who said that. No, I was right there. I thought sure it would be, and at the end, it's trying to, but it feels like it was an afterthought because there was an interview with the producer who was like, no, it's not a game. The tracks are all interconnected, and like the open world is almost like you can free roam if you want. You can do some challenges, but I think the most insane like Nintendo decision of all time for me is the fact that the P-switch blocks are not like, they don't like go on your map, or like there's not like a progress meter that shows, hey, you got all this P blocks in this area. So I'm like, okay, so I'm just doing this for the love. I don't know what these things or which ones I've done and haven't done, except like, oh, when you're near one that you've done, it's grayed out, and it's like, okay, cool, but like I wish you would actually show that on my map, or like some type of progression in that way, which again just makes it feel like an afterthought. The question mark, which is weird, the question mark things that you drive over do show up on like the map. They do show like if you've gotten them all, but it's weird. And also, unlocking the NPC characters is the most asinine thing I've ever seen in my entire life, where you're just praying to God that Kamek shows up and gives you someone that isn't fucking Spike. I keep getting Spike, that dumb piece of shit. So I just it's a game with overall that I really enjoy, and I'm going to be playing for years to come, but it's just riddled with bad design decisions that is just like, I want to hope DLC and free updates will eventually like make this like, oh no, this is the best Mario Kart now.
Yeah, I mean,
Not
I'm
Rainbow
definitely a bit higher on it than you. I'd probably give it around a 9. I've gotten all the carts, finished the Special Cup, and I've gotten all the characters. Kamek is defeated, thankfully. And I just think it's a very, very, very good Mario Kart game. I think it could be my best because I just think mechanically it's deeper than the rest. All the other games you just need to drift and win, and now there's there's a different heightened thing of like wall riding, jumping. You can honestly dodge items now with the charge up. I think that kind of just adds a bit more fun to playing the game for me. And also, I think the course design is the best in the series, even if I would like a couple more courses. But yeah, I'm just really enjoying it. I think the open world was the biggest disappointment and the thing that didn't reach it. That is the reason why, one, it's reviewing poorly. Not poorly, but reviewing less than previous Mario Karts. And the reason that honestly, like, I'm a little disappointed by, and I know the rest of us are, is that they did hype it up. And I think if they didn't hype it up like it was an open world game, we probably would have came in with different expectations. But I think that's kind of like a marketing fault. But I still think it's a very good Mario Kart game. And it is fun. Like, driving to the races and stuff, originally, when you first boot it up, you only do 3 laps on the first race. And I originally wasn't a big fan of that, but just keeping you going and constantly seeing new places, it starts to grow on you. Like, this keeps the pace better, in my opinion. So yeah, I'm really loving the world, and I'm about 18 hours in, and I hope to continue playing with y'all guys, and just for the next couple of years. And I have some high expectations for post-launch stuff. There's suspiciously missing Donkey Kong characters and representation, and like Donkey Kong and Pauline only have one costume. So part of me thinks maybe next month when a certain monkey comes to the system, maybe we'll see our first free update.
Yeah, most likely. I'm still miffed that EGAD still isn't a racer. I'm like,
Luigi's Mansion 4.
Yeah, okay, I'll see you in a couple of years then. I gotta ask Mr. John Mario Kart. Bob, this is your franchise. Take it away.
Yes, hello, it's me, Mr. John Mario Kart. Yeah, so I've put 25 hours into the game. Like I said, I literally did all the Grand Prix when I got home and set up the Switch. I've also gotten all the costumes. I've gotten all the characters. Like, I've done everything. I unlocked mirror mode. I haven't done all the mirror modes. That's the only thing I haven't done yet. But I want to go through those. And I think I'm probably sitting at an 8 right now. I really, really like this game. I think I do like the attempt at going open world. I do want to push back on one thing. I do think I've heard this thrown around a little bit. I do think this game could have been on Switch 1. It would have looked.
They said they would have been able to. They were making it for Switch 1.
Yeah, it definitely could have been. And I don't think it would look that much worse. I just think the draw distance would be a little bit lower and maybe less characters, but I definitely think they could have done it. Anyway, that's not the point. I really like the race structure. I think we didn't talked about it much. Knockout Tour isn't a fantastic mode. I really like Knockout Tour because I think it combines both the craziness of like kind of a battle royale, like a bunch of people whittled down to a small group really well in a Mario Kart way, but also it's continuous, because that is the one thing that drives me crazy about the Grand Prix is that you, even though it's technically a road trip, you stop in between each race and like reset and restart. It's like, I like that Knockout Tours just know you got like 10 minutes and you're just booking it from place to place, and there is no stop, there is no rest for the wicked. Shout out to that game. But so and to kind of everyone's point, I think if they would have shrunk this map by like 33%, so that because like Bench said, you do 3 laps at the first place, and then you'll do what's considered 2 laps getting to the next place, and then 1 lap at that place, and then rinse and repeat or whatever. And maybe there's a couple extra laps at the last stop. I think if they shrunk the map down by 33% and there's only 1 lap, so if you get 1 lap so the first race is 3 laps at that place, and then the second race is 1 lap to get there and 2 laps at the next place, and then 1 lap and 2 laps and then whatever. I think having more time at each place, because it did feel like I barely know this course, and it wasn't until I was doing verses and time trials and like repeating them, I'm like, okay, I'm familiar with this, because you do only really get one lap at a lot of these places, and they are really well made. So that would kind of be like my one thing that I think would have solved a lot of issues, because yeah, the as cool as it is to do a road trip, I think we're spending too long on the highways and I get a little bored. And it's also like you're kind of have to be built for speed, because you're not stopping and drifting and starting and turning and stuff. It's really just a lot of straightaways. Yeah, you're dodging a little bit and maybe you have to get back up to speed after getting hit by an item, but I think it's a little too straight line. So I would like to see them maybe not necessarily add tracks in between, because yeah, that's the thing. If they do add tracks, do not make a new map. You have plenty of room to like bulldoze an area and put a track there or whatever. But yeah, and then the open world part, it is a disappointment. I was expecting Forza, and while I'm still enjoying driving around, the fact that yeah, there's no way to check the P block status. And the other thing too that really annoys me is that they have that little binocular, the green binocular thing where you can get a really like bird's eye view. You can't. It's not really that much of a bird's eye view. And you like I was trying to use it at a couple places to look for peach medallions without trying to look it up, and you just don't find anything on there. Like I found one question block and I'm like, okay, are they really expecting me to cover the entire map like head to toe? And there's no like, because in Forza that was another thing that's like really easy to like tell where you've been and haven't been, is they'll like highlight the roads that you've been on. So that you know you've been there, you don't really have to backtrack. But here, there's just there's no way to tell your progress, and outside of you have this many peach medallions or you have this many P blocks, and it's like that's cool. And to its credit, the P block challenges can be fun. Like there are a couple that I have had to grind my ass off for. They are hard, and I do really appreciate that. But overall, there are still some bummers. And but it's still a really good game. I had a blast playing with you guys. I'm going to play some split screen with my friends this weekend. I've really enjoyed playing the single player, because that's the thing. Like I only have 20 hours of Mario Kart 8 Ultimate total, because it was really hard for me to play that often in single player, because I don't know, I just got bored of just like the Grand Prix, and like I wasn't doing battles or verses or anything else. But I think between Knockout Tour and like the way the Grand Prix are done, this game does have a lot of juice. It's just, and I appreciate that they took a swing, but they just missed the execution. And I hope that they can, through like you guys said, through updates and stuff, maybe they can make it a little bit better.
At the end of the day, they tried to do something different, and I think a lot of those things worked out, and I think a lot of them, just needed work.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything you want to add?
Yeah, so here's the funny thing. Like I'm aligned with you guys that the open world does seem a little bit disappointing. Like the only reason I'm just going through some of these, it's not even to like, explore the world and be like, wow, this is cool. No. I just want some of the costumes. And it also, like, I don't know if it was the same for you guys. I was expecting the open world to be one of the big menus underneath Grand Prix, knockout mode, like free roam. No. You have to collect a map, and then you find out in there. Like, it's not as obvious. Yeah.
I had the weird thing with that too, Jet. Apparently, it's just you press I think it's minus.
Oh.
Which is like still weird. That's not just like a menu option that just says free roam. But I think it's like a thing. If you press that, then you immediately just start driving as the character that was on the menu screen.
Wow. Yeah. No.
It is funny though. Yeah, I was like, what the hell? Where's free roam?
Yeah. No, but yeah. It is definitely like still a really fun entry in the series. A nice like change from 8 Deluxe, like, because that's the thing everyone was curious about. It's like, what's going to be the new mechanic, right? Like 7 had gliders, 8 had the gravity thing, and now with World, it's like, all right, yeah, you can now explore the track and also play as your favorite characters in a shit ton of different costumes. Oh my god, like that's the thing I was shook about, is how many there are, and I kind of want some of the characters like from the other games we had to come back. Like, where's Funky Kong?
Next month.
Yeah, you gotta believe they had like Funky and Diddy because like they put them at the end of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's like booster course pack. It's like you gotta believe they bring them back in some way. I miss my monkeys. But yeah, I think we're all of the mind of like, yeah, Mario Kart World, great game. Just like I guess we expected a bit more out of certain things.
Before we move on, though, quick rundown, everybody. Favorite character, favorite map.
Oh
course.
damn! I think
Dolphin. For
Pauline
me.
Aereo.
Pauline Arrow, of course.
Which Pauline? Which costume?
The only
He
other
said
one
Aero.
besides the base one, Aereo.
Oh,
And
sorry.
then,
Bullshit.
That's it. Yeah.
One costume for Pauline. I'm still mad.
Good costume. Boo Cinema is probably my favorite map, but a close second is Toad's Factory. Toad's Factory childhood course, love that course. But Boo Cinema, like that whole theme, and then the music on both of those courses the soundtrack in general is great, but those two courses are definitely standouts in the course theme section. So I really love those two.
It's for me, I think it'd have to be probably Bowser's Castle for my favorite course. But
Nice.
I'm a mark for Bowser stuff. Anything Bowser related is my favorite usually. Favorite character? I'm really surprised. Usually it's Pauline, but I was so mad that there's only one outfit. So it's kind of between like King Boo with the pirate outfit and I fucking love the Pianta. I'm just like, hell yes, Piantas are finally mentioned in the year of love Piantas. Look so stupid. So I'm just happy that Piantas are a thing again.
And I will say about the costumes, well, I think the menu thing is kind of shit for it. I do love the costumes, though. It's just
the
there's so
costumes are
much.
awesome. It's just the
A
menu.
great decision, yeah.
Yeah, the menu is atrocious for it. I don't understand why it's not just here's
Yeah.
Mario, here's a drop down, here's all the costumes for him.
And it's only going to get bigger, too.
Yeah, I know.
Or at least do what Fortnite does, where I can filter by like my favorites, so it's easier to pick.
Just
But
like
It would also be cool to have a random option. Like I know Overwatch does that, where it's like each race it's a different costume, and you get to pick like the ones you want to randomize.
But what we're realizing here is this is an update heavy game.
Yeah, I hope so. I sure hope so.
I really hope. Yeah. What about
But-
you, Bob?
Yeah, I was gonna say, Conkdor is the god. You're all getting conked one way or another. Those eyes are stone cold killers behind those glasses. And I also really like the Dry Bones is my guy. I hope the NPCs get costumes too. Like they deserve costumes. I can't be that hard to put a freaking, I don't know.
They had like
on
gold
them.
Dry Bones in Tour. It feels weird that he doesn't have that here.
100%. And then obviously obligatory shout out to Rainbow Road, but I
forgot to add that. Yeah, but that's like such an
like that one's just so, especially I like the way the Grand Prix does the Rainbow Road, where it's like this huge build up to it. It's so good.
It's so gorgeous, man. Oh my god, that's when the HDR really pops. Is Rainbow Road.
Yeah, and it's cool that they brought back the Mario Kart Wii, where like you can look down at the city and like tell like that's the map and everything. It looks so good. But Starview Peak, which is kind of the Rosalina like ice castle based one, and it's probably because it looks a lot like Rainbow Road to an extent, but I really like that one.
Yeah, the game is so pretty. It's just ridiculous. I real quick, Bob, I had a fucking when we were playing, I had an on your left moment from I forget which movie it was. I think it was
Captain America, Winter Soldier. Yeah,
Winter Soldier. Yeah, but I had an on your left moment where I got hit by an item. I see the fucking conk. I'm like, don't you say it? Don't you say it? Get conked.
yeah.
But what about you, Jet? Favorite course, favorite character?
So character, okay, I have two. Or three, I'd say. So the penguin is probably one of my favorite NPCs. Yeah, and also the dolphin. I think is great, but I've been using Mario in the sightseeing outfit. I think this outfit is also an Odyssey where he's just in vacation mode, and I'm like, hell yeah.
Is it similar to the Sunshine outfit when like you wear the like Sprite thing? I forget.
The Hawaiian shirt, with the Sprite,
I love that shit.
Yeah, and my favorite course, it's just because because I love the original Donkey Kong, the DK Spaceport, and it just kind
Oh,
of
Nice. Yeah, that's a good one.
I like how they
especially when
brought
it's
him
8
back for
left.
Rainbow Road.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
DK Pass is also good too.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that track sucked in DS, and now it's like, wait, this is actually kind of fire.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of like a snowboarding rink, which is like, oh yeah, duh. But yeah, overall, pretty good game. All right, let's talk about Welcome Tour. Me and Bench sold our souls to the devil. Bench actually finished it.
You're not going to finish it?
I, I, I will.
Okay, the way you
Maybe.
said that was like you were done with it. I was worried for a second.
I have my thoughts. I'll let you go first.
I mean, this is like 6 out of 10. Definitely, like it surprisingly took me longer than I thought it would. It's just like bland. It's blah. But there are some compliments before I go full negative. Well, the quizzes are actually just standardized testing, which is hilarious in a video game.
Oh, funny.
It is cool kind of hearing from Nintendo engineers and why they made certain changes on the console and different reasons. Like an example is like the dock now stands up and has 4 different like pegs on it that stand it up, and one of those is actually a certain type of rubber to where if you yank the dock, it's not just going to topple over; it's just going to pull with the cord. And like they kind of made different changes like that all around the console, and kind of having some trivia on why those changes were made and like kind of appreciate the engineering behind the console is cool. I think there's better ways to do it than just giving me probably 30 or 40 different tests than ending the game with a 13 question test that you have to get 100 on to roll credits. But it's definitely a video game.
Game fucking sucks. It's a $10 tech demo. It's $10 and you get effectively the most sterilized looking art style I've ever seen on any piece of media, let alone a fucking video game. And you do quizzes for half of it, and then there's little tech demos that, oh, it's fun to get a high score, and then you immediately leave after you get the high score. You don't even think about ever going back and doing it again. There's some cool things about it, like, oh, Mario, hey, that's a really cool way to show off 4K, but I have to do like 5 minutes of standardized testing before I'm able to even test out the cool stuff like that. And also, this is a paid for video game, which is actually psychotic. Yes, it's $10. $10 isn't a lot. It's still $10. And guess what's free? Astro's Playroom, Wii Sports. There are a lot of video games that came with your console that are 10 times the game that this is. This is a fucking joke. It is the biggest example of Nintendo hubris I have ever seen that shows, yeah, we're going to get away with charging money for effectively a tech demo that we barely put any effort into.
Even the 3DS had the Find Me and the what's it called, Face Raiders. Yeah, those were.
I'd rather play Face Raiders than this. It's just it's a joke. It's frustrating. Like I said, it's Nintendo hubris at its finest. Even more than the $80. This is way more egregious in my opinion, honestly, because I feel like $80 is like there are arguments I could hear. This is like, no, it should have been a pack-in, and even then, it's a pretty bad pack-in compared to Wii fucking Sports or Astro's Playroom. Astro's Playroom was a video game, which is still insane to me. So yeah, welcome to our God bless you, you suck. GameCube NSO. I think I'm the only one that jumped into this. I don't know if you jumped into it yet, Bob.
I played a little bit of F-Zero.
Okay, gotcha. Very high quality emulation. Not too much to say. I barely touched it. Just messed around with Soul Calibur 2, and it's like, yeah, overall, like this is very cool that it's finally here. I'm kind of waiting for like stuff like Fire Emblem and Pokemon. Like that's the stuff I really, really want to get like knee deep into. But it's cool that it launched with like Wind Waker, which is like hell yeah, that's sick. But overall, I'm like, yeah, glad that we finally have like an NSO option for GameCube games, and seems like that controller is really cool too. That I want to pick up eventually.
Yeah, and F-Zero played great with the little time I tested with it on the GameCube controller. I like that the games that supported widescreen back in the day still have widescreen support through the NSO app. That's really awesome. I'm gonna be honest, I don't want to play Wind Waker at 30 FPS without the HD version upgrades, so I'm still planning to play that elsewhere. But for those who don't care enough and just want to play Wind Waker, I think it seems like a pretty solid port of that as well.
Yeah, if it's
Yeah,
serviceable, yeah.
if you don't have a Wii U or other methods, I think it's best to just. I think this is still a good version. I think Wind Waker is a timeless game that's just artistically so strong that, like, yeah, it doesn't really age. But yeah, I think it's still like, wish we got that Wind Waker Twilight Princess.
We're getting it. It's happening.
No,
wait.
they were so far away from that happening.
Now, and speaking of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom got the Switch 2 editions. I've been messing around a lot with Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. It's just like not much to say other than God, it feels so good to play one of my favorite games of all time. Just this gorgeous 4K 60, insanely fast load times. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna do another playthrough of Breath of the Wild. I don't care. I love. It's been way too long since I played.
Yeah, I think with Tears of the Kingdom, to your point, it's I restart, or well, technically it's a new copy, so I started a new version of it, and I was like, I had to pull myself away from the Switch the second night because I was like gonna binge the entire tutorial world, which takes a couple hours, and I just did not have the time for that, and just like doing the first glide to the final area of the tutorial world was awesome, and then the first like skydive down to Hyrule, I was like, and it's stable. The draw distance is great. It loads pretty fast. The one thing I want to do now is once I get far enough is like skydive from the clouds all the way into the depths, just to see how that, because I still haven't gone to the depths yet. I'm curious what the load time is and the transitions there.
There is
But,
no
like,
load times.
well, yeah, but you know what I mean, like the loading in between, like.
Well, yeah, I know, because you'd freeze for a couple seconds randomly sometimes, and that doesn't happen now.
Right, and so I just I want to do that. But yeah, I love when I'm playing at Tears of the Kingdom, and it's really hard for me to not want to do a full replay of that one.
Yeah, I mean, I've played a little bit of both, and I've replayed Breath of the Wild 3 separate times, and I still kind of want to go back to that one, but at the same time, I've never replayed Tears of the Kingdom. But who has the time to replay those games? But I need to replay those games. So it's the eternal conundrum of, do I want to do it? I know it's going to happen. When is it going to happen? This really needs to happen.
I mean, let's be real though. Tears of the Kingdom replay, you'll probably have way more fun playing that than like any like brand new or like backlog games you play. So just do it. Let's get into free update games. You guys mentioned popping into a little bit of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Hey, listen, it runs, so I'll give it that.
It looks ugly as shit.
Still ugly as sin, but
the poppin is so ungodly bad still. Where I was
so
running
back, baby.
I was running around the city, and like literally 10 feet in front of me popped in two characters, and I'm like, oh my god, dude. And like the Terra battles aren't as bad as they used to, but they're still so poorly. It frustrates me. But yes, it runs at a stable 60.
You saw the windmills?
We can get. I saw the windmills.
We're back, baby. Man, Scarlet Violet, what a funny video game.
And I think so did you guys have Scarlet or Violet?
Scarlet.
Okay. So then we're all in the same boat, because I think in Violet, when you would ride on the legendary Pokemon, in Violet it's just wheels, so it basses it a lot. But in Scarlet, that big fucking brute is just like slapping his legs around.
Yeah,
so bad at 30, and at least now it's like, okay, it actually looks good when I'm sprinting with him because it's not choppy and all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
It was a weird thing. I forget what video it was, but it was like, hey, here's like basically like remade Scarlet and Violet. It looks a lot better. It was like 60 a couple years back, or maybe it was a year ago recently. And I remember watching it, I'm like, it doesn't look the same. It needs to look like shit. It needs to look like absolute garbage. It doesn't look like a PS2 game. And playing it now, I'm like, yeah, man, same. Where's my 30 FPS version now? Let's hope Legends ZA runs a bit better. It won't.
Yeah.
But we'll hope.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm definitely at this point, if clearly they can make Switch 1 games run on Switch 2 and make them look good, And I do have a little bit more confidence that on Switch 2, because my biggest thing with ZA is going to be that real-time battling is going to look like butt.
Yeah.
There's way too much going on. Your camera's going to be moving. You're going to be moving. That's way too much. That's way too much for a lot of games as it is. That's going to be a lot for the Switch and Game Freak specifically to handle. I think they'll get away with it on a Switch 2, but I'll be very curious to see how that runs on Switch 1. And I think they're still going to be pulling a lot of tricks, like we already know with the with ZA. They're skyscrapers, so the draw distance isn't as far, so there's less load on the CPU. There's going to be a lot of that, and it'll be curious how well it runs and if it's acceptable enough. But then, what's Gen 10 going to look like, man? Like, what is that going to look like?
Oh,
Especially, dude, after seeing the new Game Freak game, like I said it in the chat, I was like, "What the fuck? You can't make Pokemon look like this."
Yeah.
If that game comes, we were talking about this. If that game comes out, it runs at a like stable frame rate. It looks great, and it's just overall like a great video game. Like at least like an 8, even a 7. It'll be like, damn. Maybe there's more to this whole like Pokemon thing than we're thinking. Maybe it's the Pokemon company or like something at the executive level forcing these games to come out way too fast.
And that's the thing, Wolf, is that Beast of Reincarnation of the Beast, one of those two.
Beast of Reincarnation.
That comes out in 2026. Gen 10, supposedly 2026. I can already tell, like, if somehow they get this Beast game out first and it runs well, and then they try and like put Pokemon on us and it doesn't run well, that might be the first. Maybe Game Freak was like, we need to build something to show this is our cry for help. Is to build a great game so we can get the fan base back on our side.
It's funny. Their non-Pokemon games are really cool and like are genuinely great. Like,
except Town.
Yeah. Except okay. That one withstanding, but like Pocket Card Jockey, Tambo the Badass Elephant, or whatever.
Drill Dozer's great.
Drill Dozer, yeah. I mean, like even going back to like Mario, Postman, like they have a lot of really cool games outside of Pokemon, and it's like I feel like there's talent there. It's just you guys are not allowed to use it. It's weird. But yeah, I've been playing a shit ton of Mario Odyssey. That was one of the main update games. I've been playing that. It's actually my primary Switch game because I haven't replayed it or I haven't played it in full since 2018. I just replayed it. I'm like, fuck yeah, this is still like one of my all-time favorite video games. This is just so good, and it just makes me more excited to see. It's like, how do they one up one that's supposedly this year according to Bench JC? We'll see. I'm really excited. I love Mario Odyssey though. It absolutely gorgeous with the HDR and like just
and not a Nintendo game, but my current game of choice has been Bravely Default 2, which was a launch game, and I'm very enjoying. I'm 5 hours in.
You mean the remaster?
The remaster, HD remaster. So far, I'm really enjoying it. Just loved Bravely Default 2. I'm loving this story. It's very basic, but in the JRPG way that I like. Combat is that Bravely Default system that I really like. Music is very good. It's the Attack on Titan composer, Wolf. He does the music for this game.
Yeah, I know. So I know.
Yeah, so I mean, that's like top of the class. And the remaster isn't bad.
The final boss theme for that game is insane.
Yeah, I haven't heard it. But while playing this game, I really hope, even with Square's current state, that they remaster Bravely Second, by the end of 2026. If not the next year. Because I really am going to want to play that game because it's a direct sequel and I'm never going to go back to 3DS. And I want it not to show up in 2 years. I want it to show up by June of next year.
It's weird. I kind of wonder how it's going to sell considering it feels like it's getting kind of buried conversation-wise. I haven't seen much talk about it, but maybe I'm not in the right circles. But I don't know. I was about to say, it's like maybe they don't have high expectations, but I'm like, no, but it's Square. It's going to be high expectations.
It's been still last week top 10 of the Switch 2 eShop, whatever that specifically means. It is scaled by revenue though, so I mean it's not like it's just how many. So who knows?
Yeah, I don't buy that though, because isn't like Welcome Tour like number 2, and that game's $10?
Yeah, and I'm gonna be buying Welcome Tour at the dozen, baby. Everyone's buying Welcome.
I
But
just have a hard time believing that Cyberpunk is selling 7 times worse than Welcome Tour.
But
I
I
assume
really do.
no.
This is a cry to Square Enix. Please remaster Bravely Default. Bravely Second in the next year, because I will pay money for it and want to play it.
That's one sale, baby. Maybe that's one way.
Yeah.
There are
Oh,
dozens
Jet,
of us.
Jet, you've been checking out the Splatoon 3 update, correct?
Yeah. So yeah, that's one of like 3 games I've been actually checking out the update for. But yeah, Splatoon 3, very beautiful game. Like it just feels like it's the same old Splatoon on Switch 1, but I don't know if it's just because like the screen is nicer, but I think they also did like enhance the graphics and visually it's just a pretty game, and I'm like, yeah, this is the real way to play Splatoon 3. And, yeah, and the other 2 games, okay, these ones you can't tell as much because they're not like as power heavy, but Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, great game, still great on Switch 2. They enhanced stuff. I'm like, great. It's
Yeah,
just
now it
still
runs at 6K.
yeah, let's go. And then Link's Awakening is the one I've been playing, and that game, oh man, with that HDR, it's a very pretty game. So yeah,
Yeah, you and Bob both been playing Link's Awakening and extensively, I'd assume, because I only
yeah.
checked in for a little bit.
Like I'm just past the first dungeon only, but yeah, it's I'm trying to play more. It's very fun.
Yeah, I don't
Yep.
think I've even gotten to the first dungeon yet. I just haven't been able to put time into it. But I never played it because it always kind of like passed me by, and then I heard like the performance wasn't that great. It's like, I can, maybe I'll wait for like a Switch 2, and I got a Switch 2, and it looks great. So I definitely want to give that a playthrough.
Yeah, that was me with Echoes of Wisdom, which I am now very much going to try to prioritize doing an actual playthrough of that game, considering it's like now running at a stable 60 FPS. But let's start talking about the future, unless you guys want to talk more things about the Switch 2, its games, or are we ready to move into the future? All right, let's get into it.
Forward thinking.
Okay, so I have a list of like just upcoming Switch 2 games. And it's interesting kind of looking at like what we're looking at ports wise, in terms of like what studios and companies probably got development units and didn't. For example, now granted, a lot of stuff hasn't been announced. We're hoping for a Switch 2 Direct in the coming month, but we don't know for certain. But it seems like Sega got some, they have Sonic X Shadow Generations and also Raito Remastered, which I know Jat's excited for.
Let's
Pro Skater.
go.
So this one was curious to me, Bob. I don't know if you can help me out. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3+4 is coming out next month on Switch 2. But also there's a lot of things about how Microsoft doesn't have Switch 2 dev unit. But Activision is under Microsoft. Is there a weird thing where like technically this is Activision, so Nintendo is fine with sending that specific unit to them?
Yeah, I mean Microsoft's been very upfront about like Activision and Blizzard and Bethesda are still Activision, Blizzard, and Bethesda, and they're not like doing these grand sweeping things. Like they didn't just take the sign off the wall and put it on a Xbox sign.
Yeah.
So I very much believe that Activision has them and Microsoft doesn't, for that reason.
Yeah, they're not like Rare, where you are now the pirate devs.
Yeah, it's not like
it's not an
Game
Xbox
Studio.
Game Studio game dev that has them. Like I think Activision Blizzard's like separate enough, and like sure they might be saying some things, but I think it's really only worth it once you get the dev kits. Like once Microsoft, because I'm sure. Especially if anyone's porting a game to the Switch too, it's going to be Microsoft. So
yeah,
they're going to get them.
And I think Nintendo's still a little like apprehensive, at least before launch, where it's like, technically you're our competitor. We don't want to send you it yet. Maybe something like that's going on in their heads.
Yeah.
But next month is the big month. We have Donkey Kong Bonanza and Super Mario Party Jamboree plus Jamboree TV. That is a mouthful of a fucking name. I mean, listen, Donkey Kong Bonanza, that's to me the reason I really wanted this thing. Mario Kart's great, but like I want a big 3D Donkey Kong game that's supposedly developed by the Odyssey team, where I could it's Red Faction Gorilla in the most literal term ever, and I fucking love it. I will say it is interesting. I don't know if you guys read up. Well, you probably read up on all the previews surrounding this game, and there was a surprising amount of like people like kind of not like whelmed by it, where they were like, "Huh, it's not as like high quality as expected." But I wonder if that's just a case of like, oh, maybe it's just because like you don't get the full scope of the game until you really start diving deep into it, like getting through each world and like really exploring. So I wonder how that's all shaping up, but I cannot fucking wait for this game. It is so exciting just to get something big Donkey Kong related. And also, we didn't talk about this in Mario Kart, but I love the new Donkey Kong design is so expressive, and I am obsessed
Yeah.
with it.
Oh, same. It's a lot more cartoonish, and I love that.
Yeah, you guys excited? I think you guys already talked enough about Donkey Kong Bonanza, though, right?
I think the closer we get, Wolf, and how I do feel a little bit hollow right now, like at launch with like something I can really sink my teeth into that's like brand new. I am like waiting, like I'm getting more hyped for Donkey Kong.
Yeah, especially when we start getting more info about it.
Yeah, it's definitely like the hype is growing the closer we get.
Yeah, and Jamboree, Mario Party Jamboree, it's cool that they're adding something with the camera. I don't know if I'm gonna jump in.
And
Pretty
mouse,
funny.
there's mouse controls. There's like
Yeah, true.
there are other things.
It's weird that it wasn't launched. Like that's how I'm feeling.
I
Where
know.
I'm like, I
I'm
don't
with
know.
you. I'm with
Yeah.
you.
But it's cool. It's like a week after Donkey Kong, which makes me think even more like, why wasn't this launch? Also, one thing I wanted to talk with you, Bob, which is funny, is apparently Madden's coming to this thing, but not college football. Any interesting reason why, or is it just like a weird thing where like the college football team probably didn't have time to port it?
Yeah, it's that the franchise is going in their second year, and they are so much more concerned about like because the fan base has a lot of issues with the first game. I mean, it's their first game after 10 years, so like yeah, it wasn't going to be perfect, and I think they have a good foundation. So I think, thank God, they are way more concerned about like appeasing the fans with like the games that used to be like the standard that was set by the old games, that they're more worried about that, and then maybe once time comes down and and everything's solidified, they can switch it to, or they can port it to Switch to.
Kirby in the Forgotten Land plus Starcrossed World, the Switch 2 edition with the DLC. I'm excited for that. But also, August is crazy because I feel like I saw that. I'm like, oh, that's a launch game. Nope. So weird how that's basically being treated as a big release for August. Bob, your Pokemon Legends ZA. I know you're excited as hell in this game.
The worst part is I'm still gonna buy it. Like that's
we all
that's
are.
what sucks about this.
Yeah, except Jat. Jat's smart. He's not buying.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Not a launch for sure.
I'm curious about this game, but the real-time battle system, I'm like, oh, I'm interested to see how that works. I want to know like if they can pull it off. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, I cannot fucking wait. I've been waiting since 2017, and hey, you know what? It's finally here. So it just is like, yep, give me Metroid Prime 4, give me those mouse. Wait, Kirby Air Riders. Weird to have two racing games in a single year from your big first party games. Also, this is Masahiro Sakurai, so I'm like, hey, I wouldn't care otherwise, but because it's Sakurai, it's like, well, I'm gonna buy it because I'll play every Sakurai game. But we gotta talk shit about Drag X Drive. What the fuck is this? I feel like we talked a lot about. I just truly need to specify. Like, I want to exemplify. This game looks so ugly. I hate how it looks. I don't know what it is. Maybe it comes out and it's a banger. I kind of doubt it.
I would be. I mean, it's in welcome tour territory for me right now, where it's like,
Yeah.
It's a neat idea. Or like ARMS, where it's like it's a neat idea, but it's not really gonna have. Oh God, I can't use that. I was about to say this game won't have much legs, but that's really messed up. Someone's gonna use that. Someone's gonna use that in a review accidentally, or like talking about it, and like get canceled by the handicap community. That's gonna be hilarious. But regardless, I don't think there's going to be a lot of staying power with this game, even though it looks cool. Like honestly, especially with Rematch coming out later this month, Eat Your Heart Out, Beef Hammer. Like I think the Rocket League style games, we're kind of already getting a good one at the moment, and I just don't think this, especially something that relies on motion controls that much. I just
Mouse
don't think we're gonna
controls look
get it.
so annoying. Like I gotta
Yeah.
use 2 Joy-Cons like a wheelchair.
It's gonna get
Just-
old quick.
Just do a Mario Maker if you wanted to show off the mouse. What the fuck is this? And also, it felt like such an obvious launch title. They're still like, no, it's summer 2025. Don't have a date for this? This doesn't have a date? Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. Exciting for the Warriors fans. I'm kind of burnt out on those games personally. But it's cool that's tying into Tears of the Kingdom. Apparently it's canon. Pull another Age of Calamity.
I'm actually, the more I think about Warriors, Hyrule Warriors, the more excited I get. I actually booted up Age of Calamity and then Fire Emblem Three Hopes today, just kind of reminiscing, and I'm pretty hyped on what they're going to do with Age of Imprisonment.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good game. All things considered, because I know Age of Calamity was well liked. Indie wise, Hades 2 and Silk Song, supposedly for Silk Song, coming later this year. Hades 2, it is interesting. I feel like we would have heard something by now, but I think the Nintendo exclusivity for console is kind of like telling them like, okay, they'll probably be at a direct where they'll say the official like date for 1.0. But can't wait for Hades 2. That's something I've been really hoping to see some more of soon. And then also I want to talk about, so that's everything 2025 wise. 2026, we have the Duskbloods, the exclusive From Software game.
Yeah, buddy.
Insane to say that out loud. 007 First Light, which, you know, IO promised is a launching day and date for Switch 2.
Yeah,
I know
let's
Jet's
go.
very excited.
Hype.
Splatoon Raiders. So okay, this website says that it's 2026. I don't think they put a date at all. Oh wait, never mind. It just says TBC. Never mind. And then 2026 wise, there's still the Rhythm Heaven and Tomodachi, which are still set for 2026. This is the jazz section. But yeah, very exciting. It seems like right now we don't know a lot more like about like 2026 and beyond, and also just setting up the dates. I'll ask you guys this: when do you guys think Metro Prime 4 comes out? Because I feel like that's the most like weird game that we don't have a date for yet.
November?
Ooh.
I feel like
Because they're not going to do it. Like, clearly they don't want to jumps or pack stuff in the same month, especially like flagships. So it's like,
is there anything set for September yet?
No, but that could be Kirby, right? Like it could be like that.
No, Kirby is August.
You
mean Star Raider? You mean Star Raiders?
Yeah, it's the Star Island. Yeah, the
Air
Raiders.
whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
That's true.
I guess that's true. Yeah, Metroid could be September, and then Kirby could be November.
And then December would be Hyrule, I guess, because they don't want to put anything near Pokemon.
Yeah, they like having a December game as well, so that makes sense. Yeah,
and I think Metroid getting in before the Game Awards might be something they're at least aware of, whereas before, you know,
that's probably going to be like one of the highest rated games from Nintendo this year.
Yeah.
I guess I'll ask you guys this: what's right now, like number one thing on your mind? Like, I want to see this on Switch 2. Like this franchise come back in a big way for Switch 2, or not even come back, but it's like I want to see the next entry in this franchise for Switch 2 go around the horn.
Ooh. So I mean, I think that
I'll say the obvious. Sorry, Jad. Just real quick.
Obvious
one. I'm gonna take the obvious one, which is 3D Mario. Obviously, I love Odyssey to death. And I've been waiting for a while for your 3D Mario team. And if you're doing that, you had some separate team working on 3D Mario that hopefully ready soon. But yeah, I just wanted to put. I can't wait for whatever that is. But yeah, Jad, what were you saying?
So my top one, other than 3D Mario, and of course, I'm already getting a Rhythm Heaven, so I'm set on there. Give me Luigi's Mansion 4. I think we should get a new one. Yeah.
That seems to be the next thing from Next Level. Next Level usually does about every 3 years for their games, and Mario Strikers was 2022. So yeah, I thought it would be this year, but it doesn't seem to be the case. So maybe by next year, we're probably going to see what Luigi's Mansion 4 is. What about you, Bench?
Yeah, Luigi's Mansion 4 is up there. That's probably my number one, if not 3D Mario. But because I do think 3D Mario is 26.
Yeah, I could see that. I hope so. What about you, Bob?
Yeah, just looking through like the best sellers list. I mean, it's not necessarily my top one. Animal Crossing. I think
Oh, yeah.
coming back.
That's already soon.
I would love to see that, but and this is a monkey's paw situation. Let's get a Mario sports game that doesn't absolutely suck.
You're asking too much, man.
I know.
Baseball.
Like that's why I don't want it back, because if it is baseball, it's just gonna suck. But I don't know. Maybe there's hope.
No, it's gonna be incomplete. You're gonna have nothing at launch.
Get the free updates, and then they're like, "Hey, we finished it now."
So like, you know how with golf they did like the Super Rush where it's more like speed golf, and they kind of did like a a twist on, it's not you're running around from each one and whatever, and that was kind of like the gimmick. Be so funny if for some reason they totally zigzag on us. Instead of Shohei Otani, it's the Savannah Bananas, and it's like a bunch of bullshit like baseball instead of whatever it was going to be. That would actually be a funny plot twist.
Yeah, I would love if they went really crazy with the names in that way. I really hope Mario Sports actually is good this time. It's not my franchise, but I'm also, man, like, I
They
feel
were
like that's
good
so weird.
RPGs. That's what people like forget about the Game Boy and like that era. I think even the GameCube ones were pretty good. Like they were good RPGs, and they just don't care about the RPG element anymore, and then wonder why people don't like them.
100%. Yeah, it's absolutely asinine how weirdly incomplete each one seems to be. And it's not even a Camelot issue exclusively, because Mario Strikers was next level, and that one was pretty incomplete too.
Yep.
I will just bring up also 3D Zelda. I really want to know what they do after Tears of the Kingdom, because I don't think it's going to be that Hyrule map again. And I don't even know if it's going to be open world again, but maybe it is open world again. I am so curious what they're going to do for the next 3D Zelda game. But that's like years and years away now.
But I mean, I think it's not extremely impossible we hear about it late next year, because we heard about Tears of the Kingdom in 2019.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
mean,
but
hear about
they
it, but, like,
even by Nintendo standards, they did not like. I don't think they liked releasing that so early, because then we didn't hear about it for so long and people kept asking about it. Like,
Breath of the
and I
Wild.
know I say that as like someone who supports Xbox and their decisions, but Nintendo doesn't operate like that, and I don't think they would have that big of a lead time again.
I think with the one franchise they allow themselves that with is Zelda, because I think they understand it's like an important franchise for a lot of people, and to them it's like they know, like, hey, this is the thing that's gonna, like, every Zelda game takes fucking forever to come out.
But also, we could be playing an Ocarina of Time remake next holiday. So
yeah, I wanted to bring that up. I mean, I do think Ocarina is something that exists. I do wonder when it releases, but maybe that's a discussion for another time though, because it's like
Ocarina of Time reimagining.
Yeah, I'm curious because I love that game, and I'm like, I want to know what you can do. Let's talk about future Switch 2 upgrades and updates, Switch 2 editions and updates. Right now, number one for me, and we can go around the horn, but like first, an update, just Astral Chain. Just like, hey, we're removing the 30 FPS cap. It runs at 60 FPS. It's at 4K. That would be perfect. I want to finally play through that game. I love Platinum games. That's one of the ones I haven't played, because I could not stand playing that game at 30 FPS. So it's like, if you give that to me at 60 FPS, I'm so down to finally play through it. And then a Switch 2 edition. I mean, listen, I'm just going to will into since Pikmin 4. Just give me like a nice little side mode, like a fun, like something to screw around with. Just give me an excuse to play Pikmin every time. Like every few months, I'm like, I just want to. I love that game to pieces.
Yeah, I'd love a Pikmin update, as I haven't played that game yet.
Bob, you have a. Oh, sorry, Jet. You had something?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know if Bob was gonna say this one, but I think RCS or Arceus should get the Switch 2 update for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But other games I'd like to see. I mean, yeah. Why not just do the Paper Mario games? Because I haven't played Origami King yet, so if there's any updates they can do for those, then might as well.
Yeah, no, that's true. I think it would be nice to get something from the Paper Mario side of things. And Pokemon Legends is a good shout, because I'm like, I think, Bob, you loaded up. Like, oh, it runs the exact same.
I was so hoping that it was one of those unlocked situations where they don't have to touch it and it looks better. And boy, was that a mistake, because like it's the worst I've ever seen it. Like, especially right after loading up Tears of the Kingdom, I was like, I didn't even do Scarlet and Violet yet. Like, I was much more excited to see if Legends Arceus had anything. And I'm like, oh, this was such a mistake. This looks so bad and runs
No.
so bad. Even though I put up with it at the
Yep.
time.
Yeah, I'd love.
For me, I think, yeah, obviously Arceus, but again, I don't know why. This is like the one that keeps sticking out to me, but like Animal Crossing, like while I'm waiting for it, I would like to go check back in on my island. I just remember the load times and everything taking forever on that game.
I really wonder because Splatoon Raiders got announced, and that is the same team as the Animal Crossing team. And I wonder if it's a case of like they're putting that out as like a make good for the Splatoon fans, where it's like, hey, here's something Splatoon something, while we work on Animal Crossing. And I feel like Animal Crossing is getting a full game, and I'm still of the mind it could come out next year. Maybe that's like overzealous, over hoping, but like I do think Animal Crossing is closer than I expect.
Did I tell you guys how I totally lost my island because of my Switch transfer like having issues?
What?
So yeah,
Damn.
that was locally saved, and yep.
So
Well,
I mean,
Dad,
when
if
was
it
the last
makes
time
you-
you played it?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Dad, if it makes you feel any better, did you hear about what happened to my games?
Oh no, I did.
That's you though. That's
Yeah.
not Nintendo's fault.
No, I know. I'm not blaming Nintendo. I know it's my fault. But
God
I
forbid.
I had this realization the first night I went to lick the Switch 2 cartridge, and someone said, well, how does it taste compared to the Switch 1 cartridge? And I was like, good question. So I went to go pull up, like, because I think the first game I owned
Yeah,
on
I
Switch
forgot
1
about-
physically was Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, and the game wasn't in there. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. And I went to go look for it, and I'm like, oh, it's not. And I went to go look at other cases, thinking, what am I still 5 and putting them in different cases and not organizing them? But then I was like, wait a second, where are all of these games? And then I remembered that my original Switch 1 case, and all of them have them, those little pockets to slip the cartridges in. I guess I kept them in there and I never took them back out. And then when I got my Tears of the Kingdom case, I threw that one out and totally
No.
forgot that they were in there. And so I think that my biggest losers were Mario Odyssey, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, but the worst one, fucking Super Mario 3D All-Stars.
Oh.
The game they don't sell anymore, so I literally went on eBay and bought a new copy. I was livid.
Wait, how much is it now?
Surprisingly, not that bad. I got it for like
Oh, okay.
$65. And I was like, you know what? I'll take my losses. Like, that's fine.
That's not bad.
Because I do want to play Sunshine with. I don't know if they've said they updated it to have Sunshine. I think they said it works.
So the original, if you remember, with the Switch 1, you could plug in your GameCube controller through the adapter.
Oh, that's right.
Sunshine
Yeah.
already works with the GameCube controller. So
Perfect.
it's,
Okay.
it's perfect.
All right.
I'd love.
Yeah, so go ahead, Bench.
Oh, I was going to talk about another update. You can go ahead.
I had nothing more to add. Go ahead, update.
I'd like just 4 updates for the 4 Xenoblade games on Switch, and I think specifically 1 and 2 would do so much, because 2 natively doesn't even. It's like 550p, and even worse on handheld mode, and 1's not much better. And then the FPS in 2 is especially bad. So update all of those games, and that could warrant like at least partial replays of some of them. Especially, I want to go because I haven't beat X yet, so I'd love for them to just touch it up a bit. And now I just got to wait for that because I'm sure it's happening. It's just a matter of when.
The X got data mined to have like a 60 FPS mode. It feels weird that wasn't announced already. That screams direct.
Could be waiting.
That screams
they
like
could just
hey,
announce
here's
all 4.
Yeah, we're talking about like Switch 2 upgrades and updates, and it's like all 4 Xenoblades, 60 FPS out now. It's like something like that. That just feels like a pretty easy win.
Well, I think specifically Xenoblade needs in the resolution department, especially. Like FPS, I don't think's ever been a terrible thing, but man, those resolution in those games are dog shit.
I've never heard of 550p. That is so funny.
Maybe it's Xenoblade 2 is
548,
rough.
something like that, yeah.
702p.
Well, quick question for you. I don't know if we were going to bring this up as part of this, but like, obviously we know via what they showed us glimpses or game covers of what's coming to NSO GameCube. But what do you think the release schedule is like? Are they really going to do the N64 thing of dripping us like one a month, or do you think they're actually going to come out a little more hot?
You're gonna be extremely lucky if it's one a month. I
Yeah.
don't think it's one a month even. I think these games are big enough. Maybe not 3 months, maybe 2 months, at least for the first year. Where I think they see them as big enough deals where it's like, no. This month is an month. You don't get a GameCube game. Here, take some fucking Koei Tecmo Jalico SNES games that you're never gonna play this month. And then like maybe eventually it's like, oh, we'll give you a Mario Strikers. And knowing my luck, the one I actually really want to play, Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, that's not like, oh, see you in 2078. It's like, fuck me.
Oh, I
Um,
think
but-
we
I
get
believe
monthly
the
updates.
Pokemon games are gonna be like soon. Like I just refuse to believe that we're actually gonna be able to play them still. I'm so jaded on it.
For what, sir?
For
Coliseum and
XD and
XD.
Coliseum.
Oh, dude, I
Oh.
can't wait for those, honestly. But
Same.
I get what you mean.
Definitely replaying them. I love those games.
I haven't played them.
They're good.
But yeah, no, I mean, real talk, Bob. For the GameCube NSO, one thing I really question is if they bring Melee. And it's like that's like a fascinating,
Remaster
like
that.
yeah, but like I don't know. It feels like Nintendo could go either or. I don't think they want to remaster it because they're like, don't buy Melee, buy Ultimate. But then it's like, I don't know. It's weird.
I
Do they
could.
do-
I think they would just. I think it'll come to NSO more likely than a remaster would.
Yeah.
Mhm. Same.
Mhm.
And also one more Switch 2 edition I want to bring up. You guys think they're gonna do a Smash Switch 2 where it's like, hey, we're gonna add like characters or like fighter or stages,
Well,
or
Yeah.
do they just say
I think
no?
you get a
Wait for
free
the.
update.
Do they think you're just like just wait for the next game? Here's an update. We're gonna add some
yeah.
stuff.
I think
I
you
think
do
you
get
get-
a free
yeah.
update.
Because man, I feel like Bob. I honestly, I'm curious about your idea of like they basically Switch 2 version Ultimate, and they say it's basically the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for Switch 2 generation, where it's like you don't get Smash until the next gen. But then I'm like, but Smash Ultimate was an early Switch 1 game. I feel like there was like something being workshopped for a while, even without Sakurai. So I do wonder what the future of Smash Brothers is on Switch 2, because that's like probably my favorite Nintendo franchise. And I'm like, oh man, I really
Mhm.
want to know what they're doing with that. But yeah, I think that's everything in terms of that. Let's talk finally, just future hardware revisions. I think we all think there's going to be an OLED version. The question is when.
Yes.
I say about 3 years, 3 maybe 4, probably closer to 3 years. So like 2028.
Mm.
Yeah, I
the
think that.
OLED
Oh, yeah.
You go.
No, I was gonna say I think before the OLED we're gonna get a light, and it's gonna be within the next late next year. I think because they want to get one of the big things that people are hesitant on is, and validly so, is the price of the thing. So they're like, all right, if we release a $300 light, more people are likely gonna switch. No pun intended.
Huh? Switch. No, that's true. That's fair. I think a light is actually possible. I completely forgot about that.
And for all we talk about it being a premium device, I'm sure parents are like, yeah, give me one that doesn't have the magnets and stuff, that is built together and maybe a little bit more plasticky, and it comes at a cheaper price, and maybe the screen's a little bit worse, they can definitely do that and make a value option still for a Switch 2 Lite.
I think the OLED comes with a little more something, and that something is an upgraded HDMI port for VRR on the TV. I think that also is the secondary selling point along with the OLED screen for the eventual OLED version.
See, that's interesting you say that, Bench, because I think, sure, they'll do an OLED, but I think the only actual hardware upgrade you get during the Switch 2 life cycle is not a bump to the hardware inside the Switch 2 OLED, but I think they go the route of, we're going to add a little GPU into the dock. And now, sure, the handheld games might still run a little rough, or whatever. They can bump it down a little bit so that you can't see it. But we're gonna add a GPU add-on into the dock so that at least on your TV, it will still be up to speed with what standard they've already set.
Do you think they know what the word GPU is?
No,
And with
but like
that,
they also don't market it that way. Obviously, they're like, yeah, here's
Yeah,
a
I
here's
get
a
what you mean.
they call it a Switch 2
The
dock
upgrade
Pro.
pack. They're gonna call it
Yeah,
an upgrade
like
pack.
they call it a Pro dock, like without a doubt, and added
And-
like a GPU.
I
to it.
I
and
hope
Buff,
so.
with that comes VRR on the TV.
Right? Yeah, exactly. You could do it that way.
Still insane that VRR isn't just natively on the TV, but yeah, I barely know what it is, so too much about it. But yeah, looking pretty positively on the future of the Switch 2. I think that's my thing with the Switch 2. A lot of people may be pointed with the launch lineup or like what the hardware is, but I feel like you give it maybe even a year. And also, I want to point out like the PS5 and Series X did not start too hot either, especially the Series X. Sorry, Bob. The
No, you're
only
right.
the only launch title being the Yakuza Like a Next Gen port is still one of the most fascinating things I've ever seen. But
Go to
after
game. Yeah.
yeah, and after a year though, it got Forza Horizon 5 and Halo Infinite. PS5, it got Ratchet and Clank, and it's like, yeah, still, we look at this generation overall in terms of not even just exclusives, but like big next gen titles, and we don't feel the excitement, or like it feels like this generation has been kind of off to a really rough start for a multitude of reasons for both manufacturers. But I feel like this year for Xbox especially has been very strong. And to me, with Nintendo, I feel like they're going to get off the way faster because they have their team set up and they've been ready for a while. It's been a case of like, we know this console's been delayed, and I feel like we're just going to get a lot of Switch 2 games announced and set up for 2026 especially. And I feel like this almost felt like a reload year, kind of like how you were talking about SGF Pop. Is like almost feels like this was like for a lot of the reload year, because they also fired off a lot of their heavy guns in like 2023 with like 3D Zelda and 2D Mario. So I do wonder what like the future is looking now with those teams and what they're kind of thinking about of release schedules, release cadences. And also, I mean, you're going to get a shit ton of stuff like remasters, remakes, just stuff to kind of fill in between. And third party is going to go absolutely crazy. Now they have a really take advantage of. I'm really excited about the future of the Switch. I think, or the Switch 2, I think is going to be a great console. I cannot wait to see what it's all about. And I understand why some people may say, oh, it's just a Switch Pro. I mean, hey, I don't care. That's kind of what I wanted. I just wanted a strong for years. I finally got it, and I'm very satisfied with it.
I'll go next since I think we should end on a positive note with Bench because he'll be more positive than me. I disagree with the notion that you should launch a console in a reload year. I just don't.
I'm not saying they should have. I'm saying that
right, but
right
like
now it's a
still, like
reload.
they should have had maybe that hindsight to not do that. I understand it's easier said than done, but
No, I get it. I guess I was more so pointing out like why right now a lot of people feel a little disillusioned with the
no,
launch.
for sure. And let's be honest, and you kind of mentioned this, like console launches just don't mean the same as they used to, and that's across the board. You're just not getting those next. It hasn't felt like a next generation bump in a while. My thing is right now, like I am okay with my purchase. I'm still playing it a lot, but I am a little underwhelmed by its launch. And the problem is we keep talking about the future. And like granted, the things we do know are still promising and I'm still excited for those. But like, we keep talking about, oh, there's going to be a direct and like, oh, they're not saying much. So there must be stuff coming. And it's like, listen, I don't see a world where there's not a big roadmap for 2026 and we don't know what's coming. But if for some reason they don't hit that mark and we do just get what we get and it's just very okay, I don't know. Like I'm definitely like I think grading these things on a number are stupid right now. We've only had it for a week, and even after a month or a year, I think it's still stupid. Like I just don't see the point in rating a console. But like if I were to give it a number right now, it'd be like a 7, and it's like I just don't. And it's like part of that's like, well, I know it's going to get better. And it's like, okay, I think there's a 99% chance it will get better. Like, what if it doesn't? What if we just are still in this weird cycle, kind of like what we see with Sony, where it's like the first party output just isn't as fast as we thought. And like, yeah, there's still some stuff to play and there's still some good things, but it's like, I don't know. It's weird that I feel that way. Even though I'm satisfied right now, but it's like, it is a little weird that we're not talking about what we're playing right now, or we're more excited for like what's coming than what we have right now, and the thing launched. It's like that feels backwards. Like we should be excited that it's like, oh, well, when the other stuff comes, it's great. So yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of that's a lot of jumbled thoughts, but like overall, I still am happy with it. I just really hope they do come out with a couple things to like really solidify how great this console can be.
Yeah, and I get a lot of what you're saying. I mean, I definitely agree and disagree to an extent. I think it's just, to me, I am just of the mind that like the launch isn't the thing any console. Even
It's
PS5, which I
defined
think
by.
actually PS5 had a really good launch lineup in my opinion. It had Demon Souls, it had Astro's Playroom, where I was like switching between those, and I'm like, hell yeah, this is awesome. 4 months after it came out, fuck you, Sony, but I got it, and
Well,
I
and
really do. I think that's a strong launch
sorry.
lineup, but guess what? We're not talking about the launch all this time later. We're talking about the lack of games, and I get what you're saying, but like, I guess I just haven't been shown a reason why Nintendo studios aren't ready to release their stuff when, to me, it's like they've clearly shown better management of their first party slate of their first party teams, and especially some of their third parties, maybe not Game Freak, but to most of their third party intelligence laboratory. And they didn't say, hey, we're making a live service push and doing like 13 live service games. So I don't know. I don't think the Sony comparison is personally one thing I would say, but also I get a lot of your fears. It's one of those things where we just don't know what the future is, and it's a lot of speculation at the moment. And unlike Xbox, Nintendo does not talk a lot about what their future is. They're like, no, look, live in the now. And I understand like a lot of the speculation talk gets a little tiring at a certain point.
Yeah,
And to your point, sorry, Ben, just to put a ribbon on it with that talk. PS4 launch lineup, not that great. Turned out pretty great console.
Yeah.
But also, like, you have to look at Nintendo's, just to say something on this. The last 2 years, since Tears of the Kingdom, Nintendo's first-party studios haven't really put out much. A lot of the studios are from third-party developers paid to make these games with Nintendo IP, which is how they put out so many great games across the Nintendo console. But those in-house developers from Nintendo were definitely preparing for Switch 2 in the next couple of years, in my opinion. And that's kind of the faith that I hold, is that they will deliver. Because also, on top of those things, we know Nintendo just license out, like, pays a lot of Japanese third-party developers to make games, and that's obviously not going to stop. It's how they have, like, 100 first-party games on the Nintendo Switch alone in 8 years. That's unheard of.
I mean, dude, they paid off From Software. Like, that's kind of insane. That's what I mean of, like, they have a lot more clout than they did at the start. And I don't want to come off as a fanboy, Bob. I totally get everything.
I mean, we got Hater Bop in here. It's okay.
No. I think all of this is good discussion.
Yeah, at the end of the day, everything you're saying is completely valid. I have more faith and hope, I guess. But yeah, no, you're totally valid.
Mm-hmm.
Jat, I want to go with you real quick before we get to bench to end things off.
Yeah, so I guess with like our like overall, I'm just happy with the Switch and just like pretty satisfied that we got a big game like Mario Kart for the launch, and I'll admit it's not my favorite game that I want to set as the precedent for the future $80 games, but it's fun. It's still pretty fun, but I'm like enjoying this, and what I'm really enjoying, surprisingly more than Mario Kart, it's just like going back to the old Switch games like Splatoon or finishing games like Captain Toad, Link's Awakening, because I didn't get a chance to like fully finish those on Switch 1, and I'll even get the Pokemon Scarlet Violet now that those are playable. So I'm hoping they do more of these. Even another game I'd love to see an update for, actually, Three Houses. I'm sure that
game ran pretty rough at times.
Yeah. But and of course with the new Fire Emblem coming, supposedly the remake, I'm excited to see what Nintendo has.
Yeah, no, all fair. It's one of those things where it's like at the end of the day, it is still a stronger Switch, which is just like it's fun just to go back to the backlog on. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, Switch 2 has just been great for me so far. I'm hard to believe it's been only a week with it, but just I think the overall I have high optimism about this Nintendo launch, even if they're like, I'll admit it is pretty light in terms of first-party software and third-party software at launch, but I definitely have hope and optimism to believe that more are coming. But just the build quality of the console, like we talked about in the beginning, is really premium, and it just hypes you up to play it more, especially in handheld mode laying in bed, that it feels good and not cheap. On top of, like, 4K menus make such a difference that just everything, the small details about it, I really enjoy. Mario Kart World, I'm definitely enjoying, even if there is some disappointing aspects about it. And I'm just playing Bravely Default on it. While it's like a decade-old game with a remaster, it's like, it's fun to have a nice RPG to play on a new system.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I think we're all fans to an extent, and I think we just want the best out of this thing at the end of the day. Even like people, I know a lot of people who got their Switch 2s and are just like, no, I'm disappointed. I expected more, and I think that's totally fair. I think we just want absolute best. We just wanted something truly like next gen, upgraded in a lot of ways, and in my eyes, I got exactly what I wanted. But I know some people wanted. I'm excited to see more of what the future is.
Yep.
I do believe there's a direct this month, but hey, maybe I'll be wrong. The Splatoon Raiders announcement kind of destroyed me a bit, where I'm like, oh, this month, but we'll see. But yeah, overall, we talked about over 2 hours for the Switch 2, so obviously we're very passionate about this. But yeah, if you guys want to find, if you go Nintendo,
Sponsor us, pay us, I'll do anything.
If you want to find us, YouTube, Spotify, all favorite podcast platforms are pretty much everything. Check us out on Twitter and Blue Sky at Slice of Gaming, and also like the podcast. Any type of support helps. This was a ton of fun, boys. I had a blast talking Nintendo for 2 hours. I can never get old of that. I never get tired of that. But yeah, I think that's about it. Say good night, everybody.
Good night.
GG's.
Get conked.